Here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium, the Palmetto rivalry concludes on the diamond for 2021. South Carolina's already won the first two games. Clemson tries to deny them the sweep on a beautiful Tuesday night for baseball. Hi, everybody, and welcome in with Ron Smith, Pete Hannity with you. So here we are. The rivalry game speaks for itself, but in May, you've got a USC team trying to lock up a regional host in the upcoming NCAA tourney. A Clemson ball club simply trying to win its way into at-large consideration. Thus, the stakes are even higher.
Well, it's always high when these two teams play. I think this is the best rivalry in all of college baseball. Clemson has 21 in-state players. South Carolina has 13. These boys have seen themselves, have played against each other before.
I know you saw both the USC and Clemson teams many times in your long career as head coach at Furman. Maybe, though, you never saw a slugger for South Carolina as good as this guy. Wes Clark tied for second in the nation with 18 home runs. He's hit 2 of them against Clemson this year.
Well, he has massive power to all fields. 18 home runs speaks for itself. He has cooled off a little bit of late. He's hit most of his home runs at Founders Park.
Caden Grice looking for his first hit in the series against USC, and this is freshman season. He's on his way to some big honors, probably the ACC Freshman of the Year. He's had some huge at-bats down the stretch, including a gigantic game against Louisville here a couple of weekends ago.
Yeah, he just had a fabulous series, and this is a guy with 5 tools. Power, hits to all fields, he can run, you can also put him on the mound.
Mark Kingston's Gamecocks go for a 29th win on the season. They lead off with Brady Allen, their top hitter, but he's been scuffling of late. Andrew Eister, the hero in the first 2 wins by USC against Clemson, bats second and right. Colin Burgess, best hitter for them in SEC play. The catcher at third. Clark at cleanup at first base tonight. Mendham, a hero on Sunday in their win against Mississippi State. Seidler is followed in the lineup by Heinrich getting a start. Then Malone and Robinson. They will face Carter Rathfield. The Tigers naming their starter earlier today. Rathfield, not a whole lot of work for him of late. He'll hit the mound for the first time in about a month. And, well, his last start came on the 30th of March in a midweek game against Georgia.
Well, he's a guy that's going to either give you a really, really good start. It's feast or famine with him, but a really, really good arm. 92, 95 or a little higher, and an electric slider. So if he can command the strike zone, he's got a chance to be effective.
Allen, the Gamecocks center fielder, 4 for 10 in the first 2 games in the series, played in late February, awaits the opening pitch. It's delivered at 6:02 and returned up the middle. Behind second base and throwing on to first is Sam Hall, scored 4-3 for out number 1.
I believe that ball was hit between Rathfield's legs. Got through the 5-hole there, Pete, and Hall over there positioned perfectly.
Through the old wicket. Gamecocks will look at a Tigers defense. Meredith, Teodosio, and Brewer in the outfield. Wagner gets a start at third. Parker, you saw Hall and Hawkins at Berg. Rathfield on the hill, and Carter Rathfield, well, he is trying to continue some good work he has done against the Gamecock team. He's faced them for 2 2/3 innings and has not allowed a run, just 1 hit allowed, 1 walk and 2 strikeouts in his previous looks at this lineup. Andrew Eister, we told you, the hero in the first 2 games, the first at Fluor Field, the other at Founders Park in Columbia. Walk-off hits in each of those 1-run Gamecock victories, and Rathfield falls behind in the count to him, 2-0.
Well, Rathfield with the prototypical pitcher's body, 6'4", 225. And again, as I mentioned, really good arm. That was his first breaking pitch, and he really broke his hands and late and got out in front of that one. Had no way for his arm to catch up, and he kind of cast that one. You'd call casting that one like you would a fly fisherman.
Taking all the way, a 4-pitch walk, first base runner of the game for South Carolina. Eister trots down to first, and here comes the catcher, Colin Burgess.
I think with a freshman in Rathfield the tendency is in a game like this, a high-intensity game, is to try to overthrow, and he's got to breathe and stay within himself.
Burgess, a sophomore out of Lexington, Kentucky. 2 of 10 in his career against Clemson pitching, 2 of 9 in the season series. And a guy that his head coach Mark Kingston said he never really envisioned him hitting in the 3-hole. But that's how it's gone for him, especially in conference play. A .301 hitter in the SEC, second on their team overall at .277, takes one on the shoulder and quickly 2 on with 1 out here in the top half of the first inning.
Well, Burgess has become a good contact hitter. He's got a little bit of pop, and there you see a breaking ball, and Burgess just turned away and from it and took it on the ribs there and trotted down to first base. Men on first and second for the Gamecocks.
9th time this season that Burgess has reached on a hit by pitch that's second on their team. And Rathfield trying to work out of a jam of his own doing with a 4-pitch walk. Deister followed by Burgess getting hit on the first pitch. And the last guy in the world he probably wants to see right now is one of the best home run hitters in the nation in Wes Clark. Fourth batter that Rathfield has hit this season in limited appearances. And Clark swinging on the first pitch at strike 1. So Wes Clark, he's tied for second in the nation, but tied for the lead in the SEC. Now, overall, 18 home runs. 15 of those have been hit at Founders Park, which can be a good hitter's ballpark, but he's been a fine slugger all throughout this season, regardless of the venue. And we noted a couple of home runs hit in that Sunday game in the victory against the Tigers back in late February, and he takes strike 2.
Yeah, good breaking ball. You know, as Coach Monty Lee said, if Rathfield can command 2 pitches, he has a chance to be really, really good tonight because he's got an electric arm.
0-2 pitch, taking all the way, and a called strike 3. Caught the top of the zone for out number 2 and the first strikeout for the Tigers righty.
And if you see that Hackenberg really that ball was coming from above the strike zone down into the strike zone. He let that ball get really deep to give the umpire a good look. He didn't reach out to grab it. He let that ball get really, really deep, and that gives the umpire a better look.
David Bendham plays a lot of first base for USC. He's their DH tonight. 5 of his last 33, but a couple of big hits in Sunday's walk-off win against Mississippi State. Had a home run, then he had the game winner in their 11-inning victory as they avoided a sweep against a really good and top 5 ranked Bulldogs team.
Well, boy, that SEC just very, very strong. And even, South Carolina's strength of schedule is number 2, and it's mainly because they're playing almost all SEC games now.
And even outside of the league, I mean, you'd find very few power conference teams that went on the road to a school the caliber of Texas back in March. Right. They played a 3-game series in Austin. They played a 3-game series against a really good mid-major team, Mercer, and took care of business back earlier this season in Columbia. A Gamecocks team that has a really good chance to be a regional host with that strength of schedule ranked as high as number 2. 1-2 the count, so Rathfield again ahead of a batter after he put 2 on with 1 out by way of a walk and a hit by pitch.
Well, his last 2 pitches were very, very good pitches. One a good breaking ball and then an inside fastball that ran over the inside corner. There's that breaking ball again.
Mendham 43 times he has struck out this season. Comes in hitting .253. A little bit of pop in his bat and a tough righty-lefty matchup here for Rathfield. The Clemson starter tonight, and Monty Lee hopes to stretch him out. He's not looking at this as a bullpen game as much as his counterpart Mark Kingston is on his side, but each head coach saying they would like to get innings out of their starter if they can. 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Gamecocks put a couple on, but leave him stranded. 2 strikeouts in the opening inning for Carter Rathfield. South Carolina coming up shy. Rathfield dealing with a couple of Ks, and the Tigers are coming up. Monty leads Tigers trying to get back in the win column and salvage a victory in this 3-game set against the arch rival. Kier Meredith follows Sam Hall at the top of the order. Meredith has really hit Gamecocks pitching well in his career. James Parker in the 3-hole at shortstop. Caden Grice, we talked about him earlier at cleanup. Hackenberg, the catcher, hits 5th tonight. Brewer in right field hits 6th. Hawkins at first. He's been starting some at 3rd. Wagner, the good glove for the freshman, at 3rd base. And the center fielder, Teodosio, for the Tigers starting 9. They will go against a pitcher hitting the hill tonight. C.J. Wines has not really seen all that much action this season. At times he has been effective, and part of what Mark Kingston has said is the front end of a bullpen game, but he's not necessarily using Wines tonight as an opener.
Well, he's a guy with another good arm. He's 91, 92 with a good slider. If he could get 3 innings out of him tonight, I think that Coach would be very happy about that.
Last appearance was Friday night in their opener against Mississippi State, making his 4th appearance of the season. It'll be Wines' first start. He hails from Lockport, Illinois, and is one of those on the roster who played at Wabash Valley Community College up in the Midwest. So a native of Illinois, a guy who plays for a head coach who has Illinois ties. Kingston's first head coaching job was at Illinois State. And he and his staff have a lot of connections in the Midwest, and they've been able to utilize them to their benefit, bringing in some good players from either the high school or junior college ranks from places like Illinois and Indiana and Ohio.
Well, recruiting is contacts. It's networking. And so if you have a lot of contacts there, that's where you go.
Sam Hall leads things off, working on a 7-game hitting streak, and he takes ball 1. Hall was not available for the first 2 games in the series in late February. He's only been back for 16 games, now his 17th, and this is his 16th start of the year. Junior out of Hampstead, North Carolina.
Yeah, I just think he's made a huge difference for this lineup.
Joe's bunt pulls back, takes strike 1.
Experience, athletic ability, plays a fine defense, turns a double play. It's a threat to run a little bit. But I think that also gave Meredith a chance to get into that number 2 slot where he's more comfortable.
Count goes 1-2. Hall in his career against USC pitching 6 of 13 with a homer, a double, and a couple batted in.
A little late on that 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
And he's got enough pop in his bat that when the lineup turns over as the game goes on, he's a guy, if guys at the bottom of the order can get on, he's got the ability to help his team put up a crooked number.
He's got 3 dingers already.
Wines 1-2 pitch. Burgess did a nice job trying to frame it, but it stays outside. 2-2.
Hall is one of the more experienced players that Clemson has. As you look down this Clemson lineup tonight, you've got 3 players hitting, and then of course Bradfield is a freshman as well on the mound.
Wines, the junior, delivers, and again fouled away by Sam Hall. Before the game, I asked Mark Kingston if he was at all surprised by how well his pitching staff has done overall. A couple of numbers that jump out to you: the strikeouts, 517 and 401 innings, and the opposing batting average, 225, tied for 3rd in their league. And again, their league has had teams up in the top 5 multiple times this year in multiple numbers. I mean, it has been a difficult time every time they face SEC. And the 3 worst teams in their league, they're not playing on their conference schedule. They got all the good teams out of the West and obviously within their division. And he immediately said, no, we expect it to be really good. And our pitching staff has lived up to it.
It's a good place to start if you want to win.
Gamecocks 4th in the SEC in ERA, 3.82. Looper to center field and stays up long enough for Allen to put it away for out number 1. Gamecocks defense, Seitler and Eister flanking Allen in the outfield. Malone at 3rd. Robinson getting the start over Khalil, who didn't make the trip due to illness at shortstop. Heinrich in at 2nd base. He's faced the Tigers before. Clark at 1st base. He's also played some catcher and primarily been the DH down the stretch. And Burgess, their catcher, a guy who was a glue guy, says his head coach. A good guy to have behind the plate for a pitcher. Wines getting his first start of the year against a left fielder for the Tigers, who in his career, when he's been available to play against South Carolina, has hit Gamecocks pitching very well. Kier Meredith.
Well, you talked about Burgess. A lot of coaches really like him. He's kind of the glue of this defense, and he's also a very, very good contact hitter. He's got 4 home runs on the year and 19 RBI, but he's a guy that you don't see many balls go to the backstop when he's behind the plate.
.313 average, 8 of 17 in his career against South Carolina pitching. Last season he was 4 for 5 in a game. Right side, Heinrich corrals, fast man running, but gets him easily for out number 2. Jeff Heinrich in place of Braylon Wimmer. So 2 up, 2 down. Good start for the Gamecocks right-hander C.J. Wines. James Parker, Clemson shortstop, hitting 5 straight, back over 300 on the season, that .313 batting average. And 5 of 9 in the first 2 games with a homer. And 3 batted in against USC back in February.
Parker's a kid that just makes the plays defensively. .313 batting average, 31 RBIs. And again, as important as anything, when they hit the ball to him and you look at the first base umpire, the thumb is in the air. And that's what you want from a shortstop. Now, he can make the really good play. He has nice range and a strong arm, but I think more than anything, he makes the routine play.
We've seen some pretty nice spins in that 6-hole throughout the year on some hard-hit balls. 2-0 pitch. 2-1 the count. Wine's not hard to miss out in the middle of the diamond. 6'3", 222. Big fella. And just like Rathfield is mound opposite tonight, each guy can hit around 94, 95 with their fastball. Wines also has a changeup and a slider that he features. It's a call for strike 2. Evens the count at 2-2. Looking for a 1-2-3 inning in his first start of the season.
Really good pitch. Knee high, outside corner.
Parker stays alive.
Good job by Parker fighting off a very good slider. Down and away. You can see that Parker really sits back, and you see the slider spin on that ball, and that was a good pitch.
Parker 13 of his last 35, and we noted working on this 5-game hitting streak. Again, a 2-2. Stays high, count goes full. Wines making his first appearance against the Clemson team. He did not see action earlier this season out of their bullpen. Stays inside, ball 4, so a 2-out base runner. As Parker heads down to first with the walk, his 19th picked up this season.
Really good at bat by Parker. I think in particular the way he fought off the 2-2 pitch that was a slider down and away, and just kept it in play, or fouled it off and kept himself in a position to see another pitch.
See the numbers just jump off the page at you for Caden Grice. So Wes Clark, we featured him in the open. He came up in the top half of the first with men on first and second. Here's Grice, 2 men down, and Parker at first.
44 RBIs.
Of course, that weekend in which he had the 8 RBI game
that
against
helps.
Louisville got him ACC Player of the Week. He was 9 of 13 with 4 out of the park and 12 batted in that series, the last home series the Tigers played here. 1-0 pitch. Skied to left. Seitler. And the side is retired. Tigers get a 2-out walk and strand a man. One of the books, a season finale in 21 for the Rivals. Mark Kingston, 105 wins, and this is 4th season at South Carolina, goes for career win number 379 in his head coaching career, which includes stops at Illinois State and then South Florida. He's 6-5 against Clemson and trying to get USC their first sweep against the Tigers since 2014. That was the last time either ball club swept in the season series.
Well, he's obviously well respected, well thought of throughout the country. And Ray Tanner, the former coach, now the athletics director, I asked Mark how it was to play for a athletics director who was a coach, and he said it's been great. And if you think about it, Ray Tanner understands the difficulties of coaching college baseball.
And of course, big expectations for the program after Ray Tanner in his final 3 seasons as their head coach. Led them to 2 national titles, and they played for a third. His final game as a college coach was in Omaha, playing for the national title.
But I can remember a few times talking to Ray after games that, maybe they won or we may have won 1 or 2, and just the pressure, I could just feel the pressure that he felt.
Josiah Seitler in left field tonight, and Rathfield ahead in the count 0-2.
Really good slider here, starting up and away and then right over the middle. 2,300 spin rate. That's why that slider is tight.
Right back from where it came, knocks the glove off. Rathfield recovers. See if he's okay. He says he is. Wow. He had one go back through his legs on the opening batter of the ball game, and Seitler drills it, but Rathfield says he's fine.
Okay, the ball came in at 80 miles an hour. Exit speed was 106. So he had less than a second to react, and he couldn't get a glove on it, but he was like a goalie there.
He might have been so stunned that he went for the glove to throw to first instead of the ball, but he showed some composure. Heinrich getting the start at second base. Told you Braylon Wimmers played a lot of second for Mark Kingston's team. What a game Heinrich had in the late stages against Mississippi State on Sunday. Came on as a pinch hitter. Drove in the tying run in the 9th. That forced extra innings, and then he was on base when Mendham delivered the game-winning hit. Heinrich came home in the 4-3 walk-off victory. It salvaged a victory in that series. It was big for a South Carolina team that's 12-12 in the very tough SEC, but that helped with their confidence. It also helped in their push to try to be one of the 16 that's a host for an NCAA regional. Did he go? No, says our first base umpire, Kevin Sweeney. 1-2 the count.
Good call. I mean, what I think is the most difficult call for an umpire to make.
Count evens at 2-2.
Rathfield overthrew that one a little bit. Opened up his front side a little prematurely. Got to stay behind it.
2-2 pitch. Chasing. And I'm not sure if Hackenberg actually tagged him on the way by, but it'll go as a third strikeout so far for Rathfield.
A good slider, and Heinrich did not see that one very well. He swung at that one out of his hands and didn't recognize that pitch.
2-away. Brings up the South Carolina third baseman Brennan Malone. 2 for 8 in the opening 2 games in the series. Ball 1 to him. Out of Woodstock, Georgia, the sophomore. Several Gamecocks come in just on a bumpy road right now. He's 4 of his last 19. But at times they've been able to piece together what they've needed. They got a lot of thump, obviously, with Clark in the lineup, and Allen's got double figures in home runs.
Yeah, the first 6 guys in the lineup can take it out of the yard.
High and tight, 3-0. Remember the 4-pitch walk to the second batter in the game, Eister, and now Rathfield on the verge of just that against Malone.
A 188 hitter. Not what you want to see if you're Coach Lee.
Try to get the outer edge, and it's a second walk. Third base runners so far for USC, a couple of walks and a hit batter. Brings up the 9th place hitter in the order, Michael Robinson, getting the start at shortstop tonight. Robinson playing in his 18th game of the year, 15 at bats so far. First pitch swinging, fouls it away. George Khalil has been their guy there, and he did not make the trip, we're told, due to illness. Khalil had a big hit for them in a midweek win last week against North Florida. So Robinson holding down shortstop tonight.
Good job by Hackenberg to smother that slider in the dirt. South Carolina is a team that, much like the old philosophy of Baltimore Orioles manager Earl Weaver, play for the 3-run homer. And they don't run a lot.
Up the middle into center field beyond the reach of Hall. Malone will stop at second, so first and second, 2 away. And Robinson able to contribute as he comes through with his 3rd hit of the season.
Yeah, there's just a fastball just a little bit in on the bat of Robinson, but he's able to muscle it up the middle. That's 3 hard hit balls right back at Rathfield. He's going to be a little shaky out there. They're coming right back at him.
Top of the order, Brady Allen, a hard grounder through the legs of Rathfield. Hall fielded behind second and threw him out to lead things off. Well, in the dirt, runner tries for third, high throw. Good jump after a brief hesitation by Malone. So they've got him at first and third now as Robinson stays put at first on the wild pitch.
Good secondary lead, and he hesitated briefly, but got a nice read on that ball on the dirt and was able to take third. You don't want to make that third out at third base, but he made it easily.
He's a tough guy at the plate, despite Allen going 2 of his last 29. He is their leading hitter coming in at 282. And second on their team in a lot of key stats with some power in his bat, 11 homers on the season. His skid began after he had a 4-hit game in a midweek contest against the Citadel.
Well, it's in baseball, it's up and down, and you have to handle the good with the bad, and the guys that can do that just come out every day and grind, regardless of whether they went 4 for 4 or 0 for 4, are the ones that are generally successful.
Right back to Hackenberg, and Malone was about a third of the way down the line, made the good choice. A perfect ricochet back to the Clemson catcher.
Yeah, fortuitous for the Clemson Tigers. You see a good look at the runner getting a look, and that was barely even caught. And that came almost, all the way back to the circle. So and I know that there's padding back there. It must have gone off the very small area of concrete along the bottom of the wall there.
And Robinson did move up to second, so
yes.
Now 2 men in scoring position, 2-1 count, 2 down here in the South Carolina second. And that even to 2-2.
That would certainly be a wild pitch.
Allen second on their team with 11 doubles this year. Good gap hitter. Came to them from Lakeland, Florida. Now in his junior season, played at Jenkins High. And in the abbreviated 2020 season, he led the ball club with a .327 average. Thought about it, stays outside, count goes full.
This almost looked like a changeup. It certainly didn't break quite as much. Almost a backup slider, but it was located well enough that he didn't get hurt out of it. Now full count, or 2-2, no, full count, I'm sorry. And with first base open, you can throw whatever pitch you want.
Allen trying to deliver a 2-out hit. Rathfield trying to work out of a jam. Ball 4, bases loaded, and here comes Heister. Second walk in the inning, third so far for Rathfield.
Well, again, I said that first base was open, and you can still really try to pitch to the corner, but then you bring up a guy like Heister. 31 RBIs, 9 home runs. He's got some power.
8 of his last 29. He reached in the opening inning on a walk. Later moved up to second on a hit by pitch. Ball 1 to him. Eister 5 hits in the series, 8 of 21 in his career against Clemson pitching, with a couple of doubles and a triple.
Good hack on that one.
91 miles an hour.
Yeah, whenever you see the ball go straight back like that, that lets you know that the hitter had that pitch well timed.
Of course, he has already come through big in this series, not once but twice, and in the late innings with 2 walk-off hits for the 4-3 and 8-7 South Carolina wins back in late February. Rathfield, though, ahead of him in the count, 1-2.
Climbed the ladder a little bit with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. See if he does it again. He might go a little bit higher, see if he can.
Malone's at third, Robinson at second, and Allen at first. 1-2 pitch.
He did climb the ladder, but Eister had none of it.
I think based on the fact he's thrown 2 wild pitches in the inning, the waste pitch, he probably would just as soon go high instead of something down and away.
Good point.
Hasn't had great command at various points in this inning. 2-2. Did he go? No. And the count will be full once again. Runners will be on the move at the pitch.
Great job again by Hackenberg just to smother this. Slider down and away, and that's a little bit closer, but again, I think a good call by the first base umpire, Kevin Sweeney.
Big moment early on in this game. And we'll do it again.
Yeah, these are pressure pitches, and I think in situations where the bases are loaded, guys are in scoring position, it just takes a little more out of a pitcher. I mean, these are pressure pitches, and it's just harder.
Little flare, and Grice, or I should say Hawkins rather, able to dive forward and make the grab. The first baseman, he's used to playing over on the other side of the diamond, and a big final out. Gamecocks leave them loaded, middle of the second. 5 South Carolina base runners through the first 2 innings. Here's how he worked out of the bases loaded jam. In the top half of the second, Briar Hawkins at first tonight, and boy, talk about that pitch jamming a guy.
Yeah, he really got in on his hands, and Hawkins made a nice diving catch. Had that ball gotten down, it would have been a tough play because Hall would have had to have fielded, and then you've got the pitcher coming over to cover first base. That's a tough play, but good pitch up and in.
Adam Hackenberg, the Tigers catcher, 3 out of 13 in his career against South Carolina with a double. Didn't play in the first 2 games in the series in February. Second inning of work for C.J. Wines, getting his first start of the year, just his 4th appearance.
He looks awfully comfortable out there right now. He looked good in the bottom of the first inning and opens up the bottom of the second with a good-looking slider. And another one.
See if it gets down and hangs up long enough as the right fielder Eister able to put it away for out number 1. Tigers head coach Monty Lee. Of course, you know he has a past connection to South Carolina, but guiding the Clemson team through what has been an up and down 6 season for him, and really just all kinds of bad breaks, bad bounces. A
Injuries.
Team that's had 2 losing streaks of 6 and 7 games respectively, but also a 7-game winning streak, and a variety of injuries as well, and a pitching staff that has never been able to stay healthy enough to have any flow. But he's keeping his head up, and his team right now looking at this as the last non-conference game with series at Florida State, then home against Duke to close out the regular season. But they've got 22 victories. They can push anywhere in the neighborhood of 30, a little bit beyond that. Perhaps they'll have the other metrics to get into the NCAA tourney. Right field on the fly ball by Dylan Brewer, actually left center field, and put away for out number 2.
Well, I think it speaks to the job that the Clemson coaching staff has done with their team when you have a couple of long losing streaks, and yet you're still over 500. The kids are still playing hard. They're still trying to get better, and this is a good club. And they can do some damage. If they get into an NCAA regional, I'm not sure I would want to be hosting them.
No, South Carolina is going to be a tough out for anybody that's gotten a really nice weekend pitching. They've had an issue winning Friday night games, not necessarily because they've faced the ace of the other team. I mean, they lost a Friday night game to Georgia. Georgia used 8 pitchers, and then they won the next 2 in that series. But they are a team that has the kind of pop that really plays well in the postseason and enough pitching. I think they could, especially if they're able to get a regional as a #1 seed, they could find themselves back in a super regional and perhaps return to Omaha for the first time in several years. Both of these teams trying to get back to the College World Series for the first time in a while.
Well, playing at home is huge. It just helps. The familiarity, that's why you see Clemson's got a really good record at home and not so much on the road. Same thing with South Carolina.
Pryor Hawkins, 4 of his last 22, made the big defensive play at first to close out the top of the second. 2 for 8 in the season series.
Well, for Clemson's got to get the bottom of this order going again if they are going to win some ball games down the stretch. And Hawkins would be one that you mentioned maybe is struggling a little bit. But, boy, if you can have production from the bottom of your order, it just makes things so much better for the top of the order.
Third-year sophomore out of Cumming, Georgia. That might have caught a piece of Burgess on his throwing hand.
Yeah, that got him. That got him.
And Jeff Head will head on out and give a fresh baseball to Wines and hope Burgess is okay. Wow.
Just barely. Mainly got him in the stomach there in the chest protector, but might have got his left or his right thumb. Slightly a glancing blow, but nonetheless, that's painful.
Burgess described as a scrappy leader by his head coach. 1-2 pitch. Foul tip held onto by the catcher Burgess. First strikeout in the game for Wines. 2 good innings for him. First start of the year has started off just fine for the USC right-hander from Illinois. Nice night for baseball out of the ballpark. Temperatures hovering right around 70 degrees or so, maybe a little bit cooler as we get later into the early evening hours. And a South Carolina team, huge ball game for a lot of reasons. Another opportunity to build on their top 15 RPI and strength of schedule on an ACC field. They've got a couple of SEC series upcoming against Kentucky and Tennessee. They also play Appalachian State, but they are a program that is not only looking to get to the NCAA tournament. I think they're in by now if they don't get the automatic bid by winning the SEC tournament. But they want to host later this week. The 20 to 25 with a potential to be a regional host will be announced by the NCAA. And they certainly feel like they'll be on that list. The key is then becoming one of the 16 that actually gets to have the other teams come to your ballpark for the opening rounds.
Well, that's a coveted situation to be in. And again, regardless of any outside influences, this is a big rivalry game in state. These guys have played against each other a lot. And they know each other.
Burgess, the catcher, he's been taking his share of pops so far, reached on a hit by pitch.
Yeah.
His first time up in the first, and we just saw the ball fouled off his throwing hand, but here he is.
Tough kid.
1-2 delivery and a swing and a miss. Rathfield had some traffic on the base pass, but he's done a good job with strikeouts so far. That's his 4th.
80-mile-an-hour slider, really well located. That ball just disappeared out of the strike zone. Tough situation for Burgess, and again, it's one of those pitches where you just try to foul it off. Live to see another pitch.
Wes Clark came to bat in the first inning with men on first and second and 1 out. He was caught looking. And that's a pitch we've seen at times tonight in terms of its lack of control. And
And again, I think that is a function of Rathfield being a little fired up. He knows who he's facing. They're trying to come in on him a little bit. He tried to overthrow that, got out in front of himself, never got his arm into a position to get a good release point.
I think when the Tigers faced Clark in February, he was on top of the world. And one of the great starts in South Carolina baseball history and in college baseball history. He was hitting .600, it seemed, for a couple of weeks, hitting everything out of the park. In the Sunday win down at Founders Park in Columbia, he went 3 for 4 with a couple of home runs and 4 batted in. 4 of 10 on the season against Tigers pitching. 2-0, and the count goes 2-1.
Well, you talk about guys tending to overthrow. If they would listen to the former Atlanta great Greg Maddux, and he said, you know, when I got in trouble, I didn't try to throw harder. I tried to locate better. And that's something that a lot of young pitchers, you have a freshman out there, he maybe has yet to learn that.
Clark stepping out. 3 career home runs against Clemson pitching overall. Came to their program in 2019 out of Forest, Virginia. And the count goes 3-1.
Better be careful with this pitch. He is going to be looking fastball, and if it's in the right spot, he's going to let it go.
Rathfield has delivered 50 pitches so far, and pitch number 51 fouled away.
It was just up enough in the top of the strike zone that it was difficult for Clark to catch up to it.
Clark second on their team to Eister with 57 strikeouts this year. 3-2 pitch stays inside. Actually 58 when he was caught looking first time up, but he will reach on the free pass, and that's the 39th walk he's been able to draw this year, and a one-out base runner.
Yeah, that was the definition of a backup slider. Rathfield really didn't get out around that baseball, and if we get a replay on that, you can see it. It may have sunk a little bit, but it certainly didn't break away from the righty.
David Mendham went down swinging his first time up. DH steps in, hitting .252. And he takes strike one. So you mentioned the previous pitch. Take us through it again.
Yeah, you can see it. It just didn't. That was supposed to be a slider. He didn't get his hand over and around the ball, and it just kind of fluttered up there, and he's fortunate that wasn't in the middle of the strike zone.
Ripped past Hawkins. Keep an eye on Clark. He'll head to third. Brewer will fire it into second. First and third, one away. And once again, South Carolina with men on and less than 2 outs.
Well, they've had guys on all 3 innings, and Rathfield able to.
Diving try by Hawkins, but Mendham really put a charge into the hard ground ball.
Yeah, that was hit pretty well. Exit speed of 92.
So once again, Rathfield trying to work out of a jam. Gamecocks hoping the third time is the charm. They stranded 5 over the first couple of innings. Josiah Seitler rounded out on that hard comebacker to Rathfield. His first time up in the second. Takes off speed for strike one.
Good pitch. Clemson looking for the double play depth with their infield.
Seitler has hit 6 out of the park this season, so you got to be careful with him if you're Rathfield. Gets ahead of him, 0-2. We talked about the frame on the Gamecock starter, C.J. Wines at 6'3", 222. Rathfield no slouch, 6'4", 225. So it's seemingly a battle of tight ends tonight in terms of the starting pitchers.
Again, the prototypical pitcher's bodies. And that last pitch was one of the first changeups we've seen. And you see that against a lefty more than you'll see that against a righty, but that was a really good pitch. Seidler just hanging on, fighting that pitch off. And that was a slider.
Seidler also pitches for the South Carolina team. 0 for 3 coming in. Swing and a miss.
Change up. And a good one.
Now 0 for 5 against Clemson pitching this year. Second strikeout of the inning, 5th so far for Rathfield.
Oh, what a great location. You can see that he had that circle change grip, and that his arm speed looked like a fastball, and instead of being 90, 92, it came in there at 84, located down and away. 2 good change-ups against the left-handed hitting Seidler.
Heinrich looks to come through in the clutch again like he did Sunday against Mississippi State with a couple of big hits in the late innings after coming on as a pinch hitter. Struck out in the second. Takes ball 1.
What a good pitch.
7 base runners over the first 2 2/3 innings for South Carolina.
A little low. That was a frame job that
yeah,
a little over exaggerated.
Hackenberg couldn't sell that,
no.
But home plate umpire Jeff Head says that Heinrich went. The count's 1-1. Heinrich 246 at the start of the game. Has yet to homer this season, 9 batted in. He's ahead in the count here, 2-1. Senior out of Lake in the Hills, Illinois, another Gamecock from the land of Lincoln. Played at McHenry County College before coming south. 3-1. And the count's full, 3-2. Trying to get through the inning, recording strikeouts for all 3 outs, and once again leave runners on base and a man stranded in scoring position for USC. That's been the MO so far for Rathfield. Payoff pitch. Chopper. Parker plays the hop. Has time. And that'll bring to an end the top of the 3rd inning. South Carolina leaves them stranded on 1st and 3rd. 7 left on base so far for the Gamecocks. As of last week, the projections for ACC teams in the postseason by D1Baseball.com. Notre Dame and Pitt shoo-ins. Florida State, Louisville, Virginia Tech, I think almost guarantees. And then those final 4 teams, but it includes Clemson. Tigers, of course, the rough patch in Atlanta over the weekend, but still some opportunities in conference play, and obviously a huge opportunity tonight against a top 25 rival. Now, we said there'd be no math, but, well, we had our fingers crossed. Since 1999, when they expanded the field, you finish 4 games over 500, and you're an ACC team. You finish 4 games over in the conference, you get into the tourney as at least an at-large bid, and you see in descending order, well, Clemson right now is 500 in the league as they return to action this weekend in Tallahassee at 15-15, so it's still doable with 6 conference games left.
Well, going down to Florida State this weekend, and then, of course, you have Duke coming in for their final series. So 6 big games left in the league.
Max Wagner, the freshman 3rd baseman, leads things off for the Tigers here in the home 3rd. Clemson without a hit, but most importantly, Carter Rathfield with 3 escape acts so far in his first 3 innings of work. And on the other side, C.J. Wines off to a really nice start for you. Is you're assured yourself of the NCAA tourney if you go and you win your conference. Tigers trying to win the ACC for the first time since 2016. Swing and a miss. And Wagner, a 2nd straight strikeout for Wines, the Gamecock starter.
Well, for Wines, what a great start. He's at only 2.2 innings, and he throws a little slider there. And that ball just sinks out of the strike zone, and tough pitch to hit.
Bryce Teodosio 1 of 7 this season against South Carolina. 3 of 28 in his career, but one of those hits a home run. Did not play in the series in 2020. Takes ball 1. You know, when you think about it, Clemson Carolina baseball was one of the few normal things about sports in 2020 because their late February series, I think maybe one of the games was played on March 1st. Last year was one of the few things that got completed during the calendar year of 2020 for obvious reasons. Oh, and Teodosio. One team has now had a batter reach on a hit by pitch. Top of the order upcoming in Sam Hall.
Boy, thank goodness for those elbow guards. You can see that one hits him right there on the elbow. That could have been very, very painful, but you know, they didn't have those things when I was playing. Maybe that's why I always played dodgeball. Buddy, I was getting out of there.
Teodosio second on the Tigers with his 11th hit by pitch. Speedy man on base. The Tigers center fielder 6 of 9 this season on stolen base tries. Let's see with Hall batting and 1 away if they try to test the arm of Burgess. Hall flied out to the center fielder Allen his first time up.
Well, opposing teams are 26 of 40 trying to steal against Burgess. And we've talked about this before, Pete. They put that on the pitcher or on the catcher, but oftentimes it's the pitcher's ability to hold runners on, how quickly he gets the ball to home plate.
Hall over 1 tonight, but 11 of 34 with a homer in his career against South Carolina. Tigers veteran second baseman. Shows Mont lays off.
1.28 for Wines that time, from the time that he started his delivery until Burgess caught the ball, which is good. It's hard to run on a guy that's under 1.3.
And a visit to the mound. Skylar Meade. Nothing doing in the bullpen, so Wines, I think, has earned the right to continue to work on here. And even though Mark Kingston, talking about this game after their Mississippi State contest on Sunday, said it's going to be a bullpen day a number of times just because of where it falls on the schedule, he also said before the game to us that you'd like to see Wines get him as far into it as they can. And boy, he gets him 4 or 5 innings. I think they'd sign up for that right now. 2-0 pitch coming to Hall. High and tight, gets out of the way, and Teodosio stays put at first.
90 mile an hour fastball that runs up and in on Hall, and that'll get your attention.
.30 coming. That goes 3-1, taking all the way. A couple of strikeouts and a walk so far is all that Wines has allowed, as well as the hit by pitch with Teodosio at first. Before that, he had retired 5 in a row. And did he hold up? Yes, he did, says our first base umpire. So first and second now with 1 away. And Kier Meredith will stand in. I think Burgess may have thought the ball caught the bat, but it didn't. You saw it kind of bounce oddly off of his glove, but it was just simply the way the pitch finished. Meredith 0 for 1. You see the .310 batting average on the season.
And I love that Meredith has become a bunt threat. If you look at the South Carolina defense, both the third and first baseman are in on the grass.
Boy, good job by Burgess, but Teodosio will advance, as will Hall. Kind of a delayed start by Teodosio, so Hall had to hold up, but that got far enough away for the Tigers to now have him in scoring position, second and third. And Kier Meredith has been the best Tiger in this situation this year for a team that at times has struggled.
Well, that's outstanding. You hit close to 400 with runners in scoring position. And again, still the first and third basemen are playing in. That just creates more opportunities to get a ground ball through the infield.
Tigers looking for their first hit of the game. Good off-speed pitch, 81 miles an hour. The count evens at 1-1.
Caught the outer third. You know, this situation, boy, you want to be aggressive until you get 2 strikes, and then you've got to really be defensive and make sure you put the ball in play if you're Meredith.
Teodosio at third, Hall at second. Some loosening up going on down the line of the Gamecocks bullpen. 1-1. Right side. Clark only played a pitcher covering at first, and safe is the call. Runners had to hold on the ground to the right side, so the Tigers will have him loaded still with 1 away here in the home third. Boy, it looked like Wines got his foot on the bag just in the nick of time, and I think the umpires are going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Wow, ever so close.
Really close.
Kevin Sweeney's call safe. I think if they go to the videotape, that might get overturned. But boy, that was almost simultaneous. Wines with that long reach at 6'3", and I don't think the bottom of the cleat of Meredith had touched the bag before the right foot of the USC pitcher. Boy, maybe the back of the shoe. It may be a situation where it's too close to overturn or not enough evidence to overturn. This might give him a better angle. So probably looking at the bottom of Meredith's left foot. It looks like the foot of the pitcher gets on the bag just before.
You know, you teach, as a coach, you teach guys to go to the front of the bag, to touch the front of the bag. And if you see here in this case, Meredith does not do that. His heel actually touches the front, and his toe is towards the back, and that might have made a difference.
Just for the record, because every so often you see a guy dive head first into first base. That's never coached to dive into first when you're trying to beat out an infield hit, right? In the history of baseball coaching, no one has ever told a guy, and they do overturn the call, so it'll be 2 away, and runners stay on second and third. How many times, though, do you see, even at the major league level, if a guy just runs through the bag, he beats it out, but instead he dives, tries to hit first slide?
You know, I think people have timed it, run through the bag or dive, and, obviously you dive at second base when there's a tag situation because you can't run through the base.
So 2 away. Meredith thought he might have the first hit of the game for Clemson, infield hit. Clark did a nice job recovering. Looked like on that chop he was seeing if Teodosio was coming down the line,
exactly
but
right.
He was able to get it to his pitcher, and a good job by Wines to cover. Parker reached on a walk his first time up, takes ball 1, third place hitter in the order, and another key moment here early on in this rivalry showdown.
Yeah, Wines has done a nice job covering first base there. I just think that Coach Kingston's got to be delighted with what they've seen from him.
So on the Meredith chop, I was expecting to see Teodosio jogging toward the dugout with the first run. Let's watch Teodosio on that chopper. Thought he might have been gone on contact, but at the fact that the big hop came right to the glove of Clark, Teodosio is heading back to third, I would assume, as the ball was dropping to the ground, but he'd already committed back to the bag.
That was a pretty easy read for him, and he would have been out at home. But that was another reason that the first and third basemen were in. They're trying to cut off the run at home. They played their middle infielders back.
3-0 now, the count on Parker with Caden Grice waiting on deck. We've already seen some big moments at the plate with Wes Clark, the power-hitting first baseman tonight for South Carolina. Grice could find himself in a big situation with one more pitch. See if they greenlight Parker with men in scoring position. Stays outside, ball 4. Second time in as many trips that Parker has reached on a free pass, and the bags are full this time for Clemson here in the third inning with 2 away. We saw Skylar Meade, the pitching coach, make a visit to the mound. There has been activity in the South Carolina bullpen. They had the righty Lloyd and the lefty Gilreath up, and it appears that they will go lefty on lefty here with Grice. I didn't see the official indication, but you would suppose that's what they would do. And instead, it's actually going to be Lloyd, the right-handed pitcher. So they will go righty on lefty. We'll tell you about the new pitcher when we come back. Daniel Lloyd out of the bullpen for South Carolina. They go with the righty with the left-handed power-hitting Caden Grice coming up. You see the numbers, 17th appearance. And Lloyd, 6'3", 232, a junior out of Somerville, played for the Green Wave of Somerville High. Another big right-hander out of that pen. And boy, give C.J. Wines credit. Granted, the runners on base are still his responsibility, but I think about as good of a start as they could have asked for out of him in the role tonight.
For a guy who came in to this point pitching 2.2 innings all year, got to be happy with that. He goes 2 2/3 and does a nice job. Lloyd, another power arm, comes out of the South Carolina bullpen with a good slider. And he's got impressive stats, 3.12 ERA, 26 innings pitched. So he's one of their top guys. He's gotten a lot of work this year out of the...
Didn't get all the barrel on it.
It had 6.4 seconds of hang time, which indicates that it really was hitting the middle of the barrel and just got under it a little bit.
Gamecocks left them loaded in the second. Tigers have them loaded. 2 men out. Grice batting. First pitch swinging for the foul ball here in the third.
Little surprised that we didn't see a lefty come in here for the Gamecocks.
A little bit of wind as we have just passed 7 o'clock here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Grice 44 batted in on the season. Looking to add to that total. Stays high. Count goes 1-1. Grice looking for his first hit against South Carolina pitching this year. 0 for 4 in the first 2 games. All 4 on strikeouts. He was hit by a pitch. And then the fly out, his first time up here tonight. 1-1 to the freshman out of Riverside High in Greer. No place to put him. Count goes 2-1.
Well, Grice should see a pretty good pitch here.
Lloyd, last time out, an inning of work Saturday in their loss against Mississippi State. Struck out 2. I'm certainly hoping he can do something similar right here. Didn't allow a run in that appearance.
That was a really good pitch.
Right at the bottom of the zone.
Yeah, started off in the box and kind of ran over the plate. Little two-seamer, caught the inside corner. You'd have a hard time getting your bat head on that one.
Lloyd's 2-2 to Grice. Guys that represent a couple of really good baseball programs in the Palmetto State. Riverside for Grice and Somerville for Lloyd. Programs that over the years have been in the mix for state titles and certainly won their fair share. Teodosio, the runner, at third, Hall at second, and Parker at first for the Clemson team. Trying to break through here.
And they produced a lot of really good college baseball players.
2-2. Right side. Heinrich bobbles, has time, wide throw, but there's Clark, and then the collision. What do you know? The 2 guys we featured in our open getting together in an odd way. A little bit of a hobble for Grice. We'll see if he's okay. 3 in the books. We're scoreless. Carter Rathfield's night is done for Clemson. 3 innings of scoreless work, 2 hits allowed. He worked out of jams in each inning, and he had the strikeout pitch working coach with 5 of those in his 3 innings.
Well, he's able to throw the fastball elevated. There's a good changeup against the lefty, and then The ball hit hard right back at him. He was able to knock it down, and then the very positive thumbs up. I'm okay, coach.
Rathfield won't qualify for his first win of the year. He gives way to Rob Hughes, who transferred in from Furman this season. 16th appearance for him. And he'll try to continue the work. He would probably like less traffic on the base pass than what his predecessor Rathfield had to endure. Gamecocks left him loaded in the second. On either side of that, they left 2 men on in the opening inning and the third inning. So we had to top half of inning number 4 with the Tigers' second pitcher of the night. You'll see Hughes' numbers.
You know, when you leave a lot of guys on base early in ball games, like South Carolina has done, that often catches up to you. You have those opportunities to score, and boy, you need to do it.
Brennan Malone walked and was left stranded at third, his first time up in the second inning. 91 miles an hour, count goes 1-1. For Hughes, his first work since back on May 2nd here against Louisville. Picked up the win, inning and a third, allowed a hit and an earned run.
He's got 22 innings though. He's had
average 241, and they've got a 3.57 earned run average to bullpen, so they've been pretty effective for Monty Lee's team. They just simply have not gotten regular consistency out of their starting rotation, particularly on the weekends. 3-1 coming to Malone. Right field Brewer, and that's out number 1.
Well, when you start the season with your projected Friday night starter injured in Davis Sharp, it makes a little bit of a difference. And other guys had an opportunity to step up, and now as Sharp has started coming back, and I think you'll probably see him tonight. It's hard when you have those kind of injuries and you have all these plans from the fall. Hughes up to 94.
Yeah. Robinson, the shortstop, singled his first time up, one of 2 hits in the game, both for South Carolina. And for Robinson, he's now 3 of 16 on the season. Little used shortstop for the South Carolina team. The junior college transfer from Walters State, originally from Elizabethton, Tennessee, not far from Johnson City. Monty Lee said one of the reasons he started Rathfield tonight instead of Sharp is they wanted to get some length out of their starter, and Rathfield gave him 3 innings. With Sharp, you might have only gotten an inning plus, so that's why they decided to back end him.
Right. Recovering from that injury, got to be real careful. Hughes, a transfer from Furman, recruited by Coach Brett Harker, fine young coach. And Hughes is one of several players who have transferred and been very, very effective at different schools.
It was right about a year ago right now that Furman made that announcement that I know upset a lot of folks and was a very difficult announcement to make for the school to halt their baseball program. Hughes delivers a 2-2 pitch. Flare over the glove of Hall into right field. Wow, Robinson might work his way into their starting lineup. He's 2 for 2. 1 out base runner, top of the order. Here comes Brady Allen.
Well, you always say if you get your opportunity and you take advantage of it, I mean that'll get you more at bats. That was a good inside out swing. If you see that ball was inner third and a little bit up, and he really got his hands inside the baseball and was able to line it over the second baseman Hall's head.
Hall timed his jump perfectly, but he just couldn't get high enough for it. Allen walked his previous time up in the second, grounded out to Hall in his first at bat. Now 11 of 34 in his South Carolina career against Clemson pitching. Takes off speed for ball 1. Oh, I'm sorry, for a called strike 1. Allen was the triples leader in the SEC in the abbreviated 2020 campaign. Gives you an idea as to the kind of hitter he is. Just 1 triple this year, but 11 doubles to go along with his 11 home runs and 34 batted in. Those latter 2 numbers, second on the team behind Clark. He's their leading hitter overall at 282 at the start of the game, but just 2 of his last 29.
Well, a lot of coaches think Allen is maybe one of the best players on the South Carolina club. He's got some speed, plays good center field, very solid hitter.
Mark Kingston said this team pretty much has Allen, and Eister, and Clark go.
Clark, yeah.
Those 3 guys, they're pretty much, if they're having a good night, chances are it's going to work out just fine for USC. And you could probably say that about most teams, having a core of guys that'll be key in their success. 2-1 pitch to the center fielder. The count evens at 2-2.
Now you look at Hughes, he's 1.40 to the plate approximately. A little bit longer, and might give an opportunity for Robinson to try a stolen base. He has not had an attempt this year.
Gamecocks have a team really haven't run all that much. They are 25 of 31 on stolen base tries. Swing and a miss.
Okay.
Again, 6 strikeout recorded by Clemson pitching, the first for Hughes.
Yeah, they play for the 3-run homer. Hughes with the pitch. Change up. Good change up. Excellent location. Started at the knees. That one disappeared.
Eister came to the plate with the bases loaded in the second inning, was looking to deliver another big hit in this series this year when he hit the little flare that Hawkins made, the nice running catch right where the grass meets the infield dirt to close out the Gamecocks with the bases loaded in inning number 2. Hackenberg wants to check to first. They will, and strike is the call from Kevin Sweeney on the appeal.
No doubt about that one.
Jeff had the home plate umpire taking a little bit of gruff from the partisan crowd for not initially calling that a strike. First time up, Eister reached on a free pass. And he falls behind here, 0-2.
Good fastball by Hughes up in the strike zone.
Eister from Ocala, Florida, played his junior college baseball at Santa Fe Community College, so he's been around a little bit. And now back east in Columbia. Hughes' 0-2 pitch. 1-2.
Tried to climb the ladder a little bit.
It helps that this midweek game comes on a Tuesday, not a Wednesday, with the big series ahead in Tallahassee for Clemson and a series against Kentucky for South Carolina. But it's one of those wins you really want to get if you're the head coach. You can do whatever you can, use whoever you have to. Eister holding up, and the count evens at 2-2.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was a little bit out. There's that change up again.
Eister did a good job to hold up. Hughes from Rock Hill, South Carolina, just below Charlotte. Two-two. Runner on the move. Swing and a miss, and that'll do it. A couple of strikeouts to close out the 4th inning by Hughes. Gamecocks leave another runner on base. Middle of 3rd inning. This 3rd and final meeting in the regular season between the Palmetto rivals remains scoreless. With Ron Smith, Pete Ganady with you back at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Overcast, cool night on this Tuesday in Clemson, South Carolina. Gamecocks and Tigers head to the bottom of the 4th scoreless. Daniel Lloyd on for a 2nd inning of work. Got his team out of a jam in the 3rd inning in belief of C.J. Wines, who gave his head coach Mark Kingston a very solid 2 2/3 innings tonight in his first start of the year. Adam Hackenberg flied out to right back in the 2nd inning in his first game against the rival this season. Didn't come off the injury list till into the month of March for this Clemson team, and shared the catching duties with Jonathan French.
Well, it's a battle of the bullpens now, and both bullpens have really been quite successful.
The Gamecocks bullpen, 258 strikeouts and 192 2/3 coming in. They've been very effective themselves with a good bullpen ERA, 3.92. You stay under 4 out of the bullpen, you're usually feeling good because oftentimes your relievers are coming in with men on base. And
that's those stress situations, stress pitches.
And inherited from other relievers, so it'll count against your bullpen ERA. Hackenberg 0-2 pitch, little flare. Robinson, actually it was a chop, looked like it was in the air off the bat. Clark keeps his foot on, so it must hit off a home plate. Nonetheless, 6-3 on the putout for out number 1 here in the Tigers' 4th. Robinson doing everything they could have asked. Couple of hits tonight.
Yeah.
Nice defensive play, had the catcher running, and you could see he remained calm because of it.
Well, and that is just knowing the game. You know, you've got Hackenberg up here, a guy that doesn't have great speed. He's a catcher, and if it would have been someone like Meredith or Hall or Teodosio running, it would have been a really, really tough play.
Dylan Brewer flied out to left field in his first plate appearance tonight. Second-year freshman out of Latta over in Dillon County. Team leader with 27 walks. 5 of 16 in his career against South Carolina pitching. 94 miles an hour, so Lloyd showing he's capable of touching the mid-90s easily.
And because of those walks, his on-base percentage coming into this ballgame, 341. He's hitting only 209, but because he's pretty selective.
3 out of 7 in the first 2 games in the series with a couple of doubles and 2 walks. And again, an example of his selective eye. 2-1 pitch. And he gets ahead in the count, 3-1.
What? 95 from Lloyd.
Gamecocks have some really good pieces on that pitching staff. And again, the good work they've gotten out of their starters in the weekend has been big. 3-2, count goes full on a pitch that really fooled Brewer.
Yeah, that was out of the strike zone. He decided he was going to swing on that one when it came out of his hand, and you just can't hit that way. That would have been ball 4 for him.
Hung on to by Burgess on the foul tip. And the strikeout for out number 2 here in the 4th.
That pitch was really right down the middle. Brewer unable to catch up with it.
First strikeout for Lloyd, who came on to face Grice in the 3rd with the bases loaded and got Grice to ground out to second. 3rd strikeout by Gamecocks pitching so far to go off the 2 by Wines. Briar Hawkins, one of those to go down swinging his first time up in the 2nd.
And there's that get me over breaking ball that 80% of college hitters and pro hitters are going to take first pitch.
Heinrich. And the side retired in order. Second time in the game that South Carolina has gotten Clemson to go 1-2-3. After 4, we remain scoreless. Head of the 5th inning, we've talked about the bullpens. Let's give you some numbers for Clemson. A bullpen that is relied upon heavily this season by Monty Lee, probably more than he would want to, but they've really come through.
They've seen a lot of work. Almost 200 innings pitched. Opponent batting average only 241, and at 3.57 ERA is really solid for a bullpen. And 15-10 record. Look, they've done well with their bullpen work, and you got to credit those guys that, you know, it's a team game, and everybody wants to get that start or be the closer. But a lot of times those middle guys can be a big factor and a difference in the ball game.
Rob Hughes on for a second inning of work in relief of Carter Rathfield, who worked through a lot of trouble. Tigers have stranded 8 South Carolina base runners so far, 3, 4, and 5. Due up in the 5th for the Gamecocks, Colin Burgess, the catcher. Reached on a hit by pitch in the 1st, later went down swinging in the 3rd. You know, you talk about this Clemson staff. Monty Lee told me a few weeks ago the fact that Matt Clark, the left-hander, has not been fully healthy has really altered, to go along with the injury to Davis Sharp as well,
Right.
has really altered things in terms of how they would have used both the pen and their rotation on the weekend. Matt Anglin has stepped up as a very credible Friday night starter. Still learning the ropes, still with some bumps in the road, but he looks like a guy who can be at the front of a rotation. But they've then struggled to piece it together in games 2 and 3 often, at times. Of course, you look at the Louisville weekend, the bats were hot. They got enough pitching
they
that
scored
weekend.
runs that weekend. They got hitting from their lineup 1 through 9 in the extraordinary weekend from Caden Grice.
Teodosio in center, way up there, and he puts it away for out number 1. Oh, 3-0 for South Carolina. Tigers without a hit through the first 4 at bats as a team for them. Wes Clark went down looking against Rathfield in the 1st, and then reached on a walk and was stranded at 3rd in the 3rd. He's made one of the big defensive plays in the game, though, on that chopper to him, with runners on 2nd and 3rd when the Tigers had them loaded back in the 3rd inning, and he was able to knock down the Kier Meredith bouncer, keep Teodosio at 3rd, and still get it over to his pitcher Wines for the out of Meredith, which originally Meredith was called safe, but they overturned it on replay. And that, at this point in the scoreless game, turns out to be huge. Clark has been behind the plate for them this season and during his South Carolina career, and been a DH. In their win Sunday against Mississippi State, he was 2 for 5 with a walk and a couple of strikeouts.
Hughes kind of a short armor. You don't see a really long throwing motion, but he's gets it up there pretty good. That was last pitch was 93 miles an hour. Got a little movement and a nice little slider as well.
Right center field, pretty well hit. Teodosio on his horse, and he'll watch it go out of here. And Wes Clark, first run of the game, delivered on his 19th home run of the season. Best we can tell for now, moves him by himself into 2nd place nationally and in the SEC. 3rd home run against Clemson pitching this season, the 4th round tripper against the Tigers in Clark's career.
Well, we talked about him having power to all fields, and Hughes knew it when that was hit. Just the way it sounded off the bat. It's a fastball down the middle, 93 miles an hour, and Clark was able to catch up to it, and again with his strength just drive it out of the park. Right center.
So the home run prize he got to hang on to there in the dugout. And 15 of the 19 home runs he's hit have come at Founders Park, but he's got power that can play anywhere, and he showed it right there to the opposite field. He was giving up the home run for the first run of the game, and on the season that's the 6th that the Tigers right-hander has allowed.
Well, you've had several pop-ups, and these are balls that Hughes has got up in the strike zone. That was not as much up, it was pretty much belt high and right down the middle, so Clark able to get the good part of the bat on it.
And we're going to get a pitching change. Andrew C., the pitching coach, goes ahead and makes the change. Gamecocks 4th in the SEC, 66 home runs in this their 46th game. Take a timeout, tell you about the pitching change when we come back as Hughes' night is done. 3rd pitcher for the Tigers tonight, redshirt freshman P.J. Labriola out of Bradenton, Florida. Ron Yasia's number, just his 4th appearance. Part of a crowded group in the bullpen, but a big opportunity here to try to keep it at a 1-0 game in the 5th inning after Clark able to strike with that home run.
Well, much like C.J. Wines for South Carolina, he's only pitched 2.2 innings coming into this game, 0.00 ERA. Kind of hard to do better than that, but he hasn't seen a lot of action this year, so great opportunity up here against two lefties in a row, and for South Carolina, and Mendham and Seitler.
We noted the fourth appearance, his first coming back on April 20th against Georgia, so he's been obviously seeing more activity of late. Last Friday at Georgia Tech in the 6-1 loss, pitched an inning and 2/3, gave up a hit and nothing else. Mendham, the first batter he'll face, lefty on lefty, and catches the outer edge for strike one.
Generous. Well, he pitched well at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
That's why he's back out there today. That's what guys don't understand. If you do a job, you're going to get more opportunities.
And a lefty out of the bullpen, too.
Right.
I mean, that's great value. Major league teams with a roster of 26, a lot of managers won't go north without 3 lefties in their bullpen. Especially now with pitching staffs, 12, 13, even 14 pitchers. And on a college roster with even more, you obviously have a chance to more guys in depth positions. 0-2 pitch, and a nice job of hitting by Mendham. Has his second straight hit. Gamecocks have a couple of guys with 2 hits, Mendham and their shortstop Robinson.
So you see this 0-2 pitch, it was a breaking ball, but again, right 0-2, right over the middle of the plate, so Mendham was able to serve it into the outfield. That's a pitch where you're looking for a ball that might start in the strike zone and break down and away and off the strike zone, or out of the strike zone, and that's one he'd like to have back. But
5th hit of the game for South Carolina.
You know, Labriola, 6'6", 220.
Well, Tigers are bringing the size. The starter Rathfield stands 6'4".
Yeah.
You had the 6'3" Wines for South Carolina get the start, so get yourself a basketball front line. Opposite way, Meredith calls off Teodosio, and that's out number 2. Seitler's 0 for 3. Heinrich comes up. He's 0 for 2. Grounded out to short his last time up. So interestingly, South Carolina had 8 runners stranded over the first 4 innings. Clark steps to the plate with no one on and gives them their first run of the game.
Yeah, he came up a couple of times with the runners on base and was unable to deliver.
Heinrich 3 for 5 with an RBI earlier this season against the Tigers. Braylon Wimmer has been getting most of the work at second base, a .274 hitter. And a speedy runner, but Heinrich getting the call tonight. No doubt he welcomed it, especially in a game of this magnitude. Big game for the rivalry reasons, but also in the big picture for a South Carolina team that's taking care of business against a brutal schedule this year. Yeah. As high as the number 2 toughest rated schedule in terms of strength of schedule.
And as a result, their RPI is 12.
They're trying to shore up a host role in the regional. That one off the glove of Hackenberg allows the runner Mendham to move down to second with 2 away. Pass ball is the ruling. 1-2 now, the count on Heinrich.
Those free bases can come back to haunt you. This is a pitch that Hackenberg might have tried to frame a little bit early. Maybe he lost focus, but that's one that Monty Lee and his staff hate to see go to the backstop.
Labriola trying to strand a 9th Gamecock runner of the night, and he will. Second time Heinrich has gone down tonight on strikes. The damage done, though, by one of the best power hitters in the nation. 3rd time this season that Wes Clark goes deep against the Tigers. The 4th time in his career. It's a 1-0 game, middle of the 5th. Head to the bottom of the 5th in a 1-0 game. Some notable dates we told you later this week. We'll learn the 20-25 potential regional site host. South Carolina will surely be in that group. Next week, they hope to learn that they're one of the 16, welcoming 3 others to Columbia when the NCAA regionals begin in early June. And then, of course, the Super Regionals. They've tightened up the College World Series a little bit this year, especially getting from the elimination rounds to the best of 3 championship series. And normally, when the College World Series is going on, or even actually into the regionals or Super Regionals is when the draft would take place, but they moved it into July this year.
Yeah, that's a good move by Major League Baseball to do that. It just makes more sense.
And, of course, last year, just a 5-round draft instead of what's been roughly a 40-round draft. It was 50 for a while. Prior to that, it used to be any number of rounds, but they moved the draft back. I think it makes sense this year because of the whole situation going on nationally. Tigers down 1-0. Max Wagner, the freshman third baseman, leads things off here in the 5th.
And I was just going to say, I think one of the reasons that they've moved that draft is that they're getting more and more players out of college to come and play professional baseball. And there was a time, I think it was more high school players, but I think in the last 20 years, you've seen more and more players coming out of college. As the college baseball game has exploded in popularity, better coaching, great facilities.
And we've shown a statistic on these telecasts this year that shows the number of 4-year college players who've had success getting into pro baseball, many of whom have eventually gotten on to the major league level. Wagner, second time up. First time he went down swinging. That was in the 3rd. That was against the starter Wines. Good glove. They hope for more bat. Came in hitting .224. Ahead in the count here, 3-1.
Well, again, it's for Clemson to get more production from the bottom of their order. I think is critical. You got, Hawkins at 265, Wagner at 224, and then 236 for Teodosio. That one.
Seitler gave it a good run, but it gets out.
It's just not, the production that you really need to have. If as a pitcher you feel like you can, maybe take a couple batters off, get away with a couple pitches. And Rob Hughes learned that you can't do that against Clark. Do that fastball down the middle, and he deposited it in the right center field seats.
Lloyd on in his 3rd inning of work and had retired the first 4 Tigers he faced. That'll go as a leadoff walk for the freshman Wagner. 10th free pass for him this year, and a leadoff man on for Teodosio. Teodosio was hit by a pitch. You have to wonder if he's been thinking about it since he reached in his first time up the 3rd inning, advanced all the way to 3rd, and on that chopper by Meredith the right side, you have to wonder if maybe he wishes he'd gone on contact. He might have scored had he been off with contact.
The contact play is usually a play that the third base coach says, look, if you see it on the ground, regardless of where it is, and you do that with 1 out.
Whoa, wow, right in the helmet. Let's hope he's okay. Bryce Teodosio. Remember, he was injured on a defensive play in this series last year in the Friday night game in Columbia, and that cost him the remainder of that shortened season, getting quick attention from his head coach and also the athletic trainer. And that's just one that got away from Lloyd. Yeah. He obviously didn't mean to do that with a man on first to lead off here in the 5th.
Got him on the helmet, but it also apparently got him on the nose there, unless the helmet.
And Bryce Teodosio. It's like a nosebleed, and wow. Yet again in a Clemson-Carolina matchup, an injury looks like it's going to take him out of the game. You can see, obviously, Lloyd very upset with himself and feels badly about that pitch. Take another look, and let's see exactly where on the helmet it hits as he was showing bunt. Whoa. Oof.
Well, that just ran up in on him at 94 miles an hour. Ooh. I'm not sure if it got his cheek or the ear flap. This is going to be a little tighter.
Wow, that is tough. Tough to watch.
Ooh.
Boy, you hope it caught the ear flap before
just
it made contact with his face.
But I think
And I may have spoken too soon. They're giving attention to Teodosio, but no one has gone out to first base, so perhaps. And it looked like Monty Lee might have been telling the home plate umpire, can you give us a second, let the nosebleed stop? And you hope, that being the case, that the brunt of the contact was on that ear flap. And it grazed him, but just enough to bloody the nose and not cause a big bruise.
At the worst, I think it was a glancing blow on his cheek and nose, but wow. If he's broken his nose, that could be... sit him down for a while.
A couple of Tigers hit by pitch in this game. There's been one Gamecock batter who reached on a hit by pitch. That was Burgess back in the first. Umpires now are going to meet, and Lloyd not far from their discussion. You see the look on his face. It just looked like a pitch that got away.
Look, you're up 1-0. You're not you're not trying to send a message and hit someone.
Kier Meredith getting ready to go on deck with Sam Hall, the batter, due up. It's going to be first and second for the Tigers with no one out here in the bottom half of the fifth inning. The home plate umpire is Jeff Head. And again, they're giving time for Teodosio to be attended to. I'm not really sure what the rule book says in terms of how long you're to allow. Mark Kingston doesn't seem to have an issue with it. And Monty Lee now will come out and looks like we're going to get a runner in place of Teodosio. J.D. Brock has emerged from the dugout and put on a batting helmet. So J.D. Brock will occupy first base. Lefty hitting second-year freshman out of Davidson, North Carolina.
I would have been very surprised to see Teodosio back out there with any kind of concussion protocols.
I was just going to say, not only are they worried about the nosebleed, but they've got to put him through all of the proper practices. Brock playing in just his 10th game. He's been on base 3 times, 2 walks and a base hit. And has not attempted a stolen base, although you figured with Hall up. See if Monty Lee has the runners on the move with Wagner out at second and now Brock at first in place of Teodosio. You certainly just hope for the long term Teodosio is okay.
South Carolina expecting a bunt.
And Hall pulling back as Teodosio was trying to move Max Wagner up. He ended up doing so, not the way he had hoped.
It's going to be interesting to see how Lloyd reacts. I think when you hit someone in the head like that, it could shake up the pitcher a little bit too, and he needs to regather and regroup. And
Hall, despite playing in just a 17th game this year, and the throw by Lloyd wide of third. Going to allow Wagner to come home, and they're also going to wave Brock. Slow to get over there and get it was the third baseman Seitler, and the third baseman Malone was initially hung up with Wagner. Tigers get a couple of runs on what was supposed to be a sacrifice bunt to move him up by Hall. He ends up out at second.
Well, Lloyd had time with a good throw. And Seitler at third base, or Malone at third base, has to play. See, he wasn't real athletic there. That throw was off, but he's got to step to the ball with his left foot. And then Malone he just kind of was expecting Seitler to come and back up, which he should have done initially, right? I mean, right away, he's got to be moving. And by the time he got there, you have Brock scoring from first base.
Give Hall the sacrifice, and E1 on Lloyd. Tigers now have a 2-1 lead. They have yet to get a base hit as we play here in the bottom half of the fifth inning. Closest they've come was Kier Meredith. Thought he had an infield hit his last time up, but a 3-1 putout. Clark to his starting pitcher Wines on a replay overturn. Led to a second out in the third inning. Tigers stranded him on second and third in that frame. They've been able to get a couple home. Hall stands at second, no one out here in the bottom of the fifth.
Small ball. Creates pressure.
I was really surprised Lloyd tried to get the force out at third. I thought he would just naturally try to get Hall. Although tough part of the lineup to face, but still.
He had him. I mean, he was out by a step and a half with a good throw. But again, I didn't think Malone did a really good job of. I mean, he becomes a first baseman at that point, and he did not step to the ball. He was not as athletic as he needed to be. I wouldn't be surprised to see Meredith try to get one down and create some more havoc on the bases. At worst, you're going to get Hall to first base or to third base with one out, and a possibility of first and third with Meredith's speed.
Malone in on the grass at third, but Clark playing way back over at first. 2-1 pitch coming for Lloyd. Some activity has begun in the South Carolina bullpen. Just the second pitcher used as we play here in the home fifth on what was declared by their head coach to be a bullpen game.
Yeah. Of course, talking about the bunt with Meredith, the way he hits the ball with runners in scoring position. He's hitting almost 390, I believe, and let him swing, drive it in.
And good in his career against South Carolina, fouls it off, 2-2.
He was on that.
See how much he was on that.
Here's a slider, and that was a good swing. And again, when guys foul it straight back like that, it's a good indication that they've had pretty good timing on that pitch, and they're seeing it pretty well.
Meredith, 8 of 19 in his Clemson career against South Carolina pitching. Again, Lloyd's 2-2 pitch. Hall at second.
He'll do it.
Chopper, gonna be tough. Pitcher will toss on to first. Meredith all the way in on the infield grass. Oftentimes you'll be called out, but he moved the runner up. One away now. Hall to third.
You should see that entire Clemson dugout give him some high fives for doing the job. Get him over, get him in. You have played that a lot in batting practice.
Second time tonight, Meredith has been retired on a first base pitcher combination. This time it was the pitcher flipping it to Clark. Previous time, Clark to the pitcher covering. James Parker, man in scoring position, has reached both times up and a couple of walks. Tigers will gain their share of free passes tonight with 4 of them. Parker with a couple.
I think Parker was looking breaking pitch there, and it just didn't break as much as he thought. It was almost one of those backup sliders.
Grice, the DH, and I remember when he made the last out previously at the end of the third inning, he limped off after the collision with Clark at first, but you see he's on deck, so obviously he's okay. Tigers obviously could ill afford to lose his big bat in the middle of the lineup, let alone Teodosio's defense in center field and the other things that he brings. And we'll keep an eye on.
Yeah, I was just going to. This infield's playing in. They are going to make the Tigers get the ball into the outfield to score a run. And again, you talked about the contact play. And that's a play where if the ball's hit on the ground, even if it's hit directly back to the pitcher, the guy at third is going on contact if it's a ground ball. And if he's out by a bunch, then he gets into a rundown, and then the hitter, in this case Parker, hustles to second base, and so you still have a runner in scoring position with 2 outs.
Parker, second on the Tiger team, 31 batted in this year. That's 13 behind the on-deck hitter Grice.
Oh, that one got away from him too at 93.
I mean, that's the thing. And that's not the only other time besides the ball that he hit Teodosio on that he's kind of lost command of that pitch going high and tight to a righty batter.
He kind of lets that elbow drop a little bit.
Liner into left. Seitler charges, won't get it. First hit of the night will bring home Hall. Tigers their third run of the inning and a 3-1 lead.
A great job by Parker after a pitch that's up and in, and really moved his feet, and then a nice little slider down and away.
So Caden Grice stands in, still 1 away in the inning, a man on. Last time, first batter Lloyd faced, and Clark didn't know Grice was coming, and Both able to pop up with it. You see the limp off. Kind of an odd way to come off the base, but real good sportsmanship there in the rivalry. And Bryce seemingly walked it off. Big opportunity here. Clark's 19th home run of the season made it a 1-0 game in the top half of the inning. Tigers scored their first 2 runs without the benefit of a hit. Just got their first hit of the game from Clark. Nice job, Malone, to second one, on to first. Top shelf play. Malone had a rough go of it on that throw by Lloyd that led in those 2 runs, but making up for it. Tigers, though, striking for their first 3 in the game. South Carolina able to close out the inning with some nice defense on the hot corner. Double play turn. 3-1 Tigers. Been a big day at Clemson for another team on the diamond, the regular season ACC champion Clemson softball team. Oh, the accolades rolled in from the conference earlier today, several on the all-conference teams, and you've got your player and freshman of the year in Valerie Cagle and John Rittman, coach of the year. Second year for the program, really, though, their first season, because last year they were shut down maybe a third of the way into their schedule. 40-5 as they head off to the ACC tournament. They went 29-5 in their first ACC season. What a job they did, and talking about it today, the head coach, some of his players said they're on cloud 9. The fact that all this has happened so fast is something, but honestly, they feel like they've got a whole lot of gas left in the tank.
Well, this Valerie Cagle is incredible. She can hit, she pitches, she plays the outfield. She's really quite a player, along with a number of other of their players, and Coach Rittman did a great job along with the rest of his coaching staff.
Tigers go to their 4th pitcher of the night, Davis Sharp. A smile on his face as he finishes up his warm-up work. Sharp, no stranger to the Gamecocks in Greenville. 4 innings in the start back on February 27th. Allowed 7 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned. A walk, struck out 10 in his 4 innings of work. Didn't figure in the decision. Also faced South Carolina back in 20 and 2019. So back at it against the rivals for Sharp. And starts out Malone with strike 1 here in the 6th inning.
Good looking pitch. Baseball can be a cruel game, and Grice hit that last ball, exit velocity of 103 miles an hour, and right at Malone, then they were able to get the 5-6-3 double play. But that's all you can do, is just hit the ball hard.
2-2 the count. Grice going the opposite way against the shift, and believe it or not, just the first double play he's grounded into this season. Swing and a miss, off speed for Sharp. And he continues his good work in terms of strikeouts against the South Carolina batters this year.
There's a good slider. It started right over the inner third and broke well off the plate.
9th Gamecock to strike out. You see Brock, who came on as a pinch runner for the injured Teodosio, now in center field. That's been a very important position for this Clemson team, manned by Teodosio in his time since he arrived in 2018. Michael Robinson has 2 of South Carolina's 5 hits on the night, getting a rare start at shortstop for the USC team. Singled in the 2nd, was left stranded at second base. Last time up in the 4th, reached on a single and was left at first. Gamecocks have stranded their fair share of base runners tonight, 9 so far. Swing and a miss. Count evens at 2-2. Sharp working back from injury, which kept him out of action for a good period of time, roughly a month, both as a position player and as a pitcher. Off speed, 78 miles an hour, 2 up, 2 down, both on strikeouts.
Again, good slider that started over the inside part of the plate, and 2,900 spin rate. That's putting some juice on that thing, and that's why it has that kind of bite late.
Brady Allen, one of the 10 strikeouts for South Carolina batters tonight. Sharp spiking that one for ball 1. He's also grounded out to second.
You know, sometimes as a pitcher, you get out there, you get 2 quick strikeouts, and then, you've got to keep your focus.
Still hitting right around 300 in his career against Clemson pitching. 4 hits in the season series. He's 4 for 12. Had a couple of doubles in the Floor Field win in late February on a 3 for 6 game. 3-0, so opportunity for another base runner for USC with Eister waiting on deck.
As Clemson had a 1-2-3 inning.
Gamecocks have not been retired in order in this game, and that trend will continue.
A 2-out walk, and you bring up the heart of this very, very powerful USC order.
5th walk issued by Clemson pitching. 2nd time that Allen has gotten aboard on a free pass. So he's 0 for 2 in the night, but 4 plate appearances. He's been on base twice. Eister reached on a walk. Had an opportunity with the bases loaded in the 2nd inning. Had a little flare that Hawkins at first was able to make a running grab on, where the grass meets the dirt over near first base. And he went down swinging his last time up in the 4th inning.
Good swing on that one. Sharp keeping the ball away against all of these right-handed hitters.
Quick throw. Mighty close. Allen able to dive back in. Got to keep an eye on a team that doesn't run all that much. He's 9 of 9
right
this season. He's swiped 9 of their 25 stolen bases this year.
That was close.
0-2. Stays high. Sharp just trying to get back in the flow. Of course, since he's returned as a pitcher, working out of the bullpen. Another throw to chase back Allen. One-two pitch. Chopper, Hall, easy flip. Gamecocks done in the 6th. 3-1 as we head to the bottom half. Tigers down 1-0 after 4.5. Crazy 5th inning. Clemson scored their first 2 runs without the benefit of a hit. Wagner the leadoff walk. Bryce Teodosio hit in the helmet. He had to exit. 1st and 2nd for Sam Hall, simply trying to move him up. And Lloyd throwing it away. And even as importantly, Mendham was not quick to get over there and get it. By the time Seitler, the left fielder, retrieved it, 2 came home. And then the first hit of the game delivered on the RBI single by James Parker as Hall came in and made it a 3-1 game. So now a 3rd pitcher on the night for South Carolina as they turn to 6'3", 213-pound junior right-hander Wesley Sweat. He's out of Rock Hill, played his high school ball at Northwestern. Appearance number 10 for him. We'll try to keep it right here as the Gamecocks go for a first sweep by either team in this series since 2014. They were the last to do it. First batter he'll face is the Tigers' 5th place hitter, Adam Hackenberg, who was flied out to right and grounded out to short. Hackenberg, center field, backing up Allen, and just shy of the hill. He puts it away for out number 1.
Yeah, just missed that one. Off the end of the bat. Didn't get it on the barrel.
Sweat pitched on Saturday against Mississippi State. His last outing went an inning and 2/3. A strikeout. Did not allow a run or a hit. And again, they run out a bunch of hard-throwing right-handers out of that bullpen. And the fact that Wines, the starter, only his 4th appearance, made his first start, but he's a guy that looks like he could give him some good innings in relief as they forge on toward the postseason.
Yes, some power arms.
Dylan Brewer. A fly out to left and a strikeout. That came against Lloyd, who came on in relief. Although the Tigers did not get their first hit to the 5th inning, they did threaten with the bases loaded. And Caden Grice batting in the 3rd, but Lloyd came on in relief of Wines and induced the ground out to second and closed out the Tigers with the bases left loaded and no runs on the board in the 3rd. Brewer. And again, Allen in center. This time he moves ever so slightly to his right for out number 2. Pryor Hawkins, a strikeout and a ground out to second. Playing first base tonight.
You've seen them move him down on the lineup to number 7. And again, just trying to get some production from the bottom of the lineup for the Clemson Tigers.
Hawkins, 4 of his last 24. Did have 5 hits against South Carolina pitching in the series last year. He's got 7 in his career and 25 at bats. Takes ball 2. Check to first, and the count's 3-0. First base umpire Kevin Sweeney says he did not go.
That was a little closer than I thought, but I agree with the call.
Taking all the way, 3-1.
Good job by Burgess on that one. Caught that in his web. Kept his glove over the strike zone, caught it in his web, and brought it into the strike zone. That was a good job of framing. Good pitch down and in there. Fastball away, fastball in.
Sweat, 8 innings of work so far, has yet to walk a batter this year, seeking his 6th strikeout of this 2021 campaign. Payoff pitch to Hawkins. Robinson won't get to it, into center field. Second into the ball game for Clemson, and a 2-out base runner, Pryor Hawkins. Max Wagner got things started in that crazy 5th inning. Take another look as Hawkins sent it back from where it came.
Yep, 15 hopper. Ball had eyes. I'd take 100 of them. Good place to hit the ball up the middle. Maybe not so much now that defenses are shifting, but there was a time when, the traditional defense hit the ball back up the middle. There's always a hole there.
Yeah.
You get it past the pitcher.
Wagner reaching on a walk his last time up. First time he struck out. It's always fascinated me, this guy from Green Bay, Wisconsin, on a team that has Bo Makowski, one of the reserves, a veteran on this Tiger team. 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss. Got away momentarily from Burgess, but Hawkins going nowhere. And I've just wondered if his family, and at some point I'll try to meet the family and see if this was true, but it's got to be cool at the very least for the mom and dad that their son gets to go play on a team that is the son of Don Makowski, who was a really good Packers quarterback.
Yeah.
And in the late 80s. And I just thought that that's always been a really interesting connection. And for all I know, it may not have dawned on them, and they may not care. But if they're from Green Bay, chances are
they care.
They every Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central, they're fixated on a team that wears green and gold during the fall. 2-1 pitch. Wagner, fair ball down the line. It'll go for extra bases.
This is going to be close.
Keep an eye on Hawkins. They'll hold him at third. Yeah. 2-out double for Wagner. And for the Tiger freshman third baseman, his 5th of the year. 2nd and 3rd with 2 away for the Tigers.
Well, with 2 outs, you want to be really, really aggressive. But on that case, Seitler got over there very quickly and played it beautifully off of the wall and got it quickly into Robinson, the shortstop, and as a result, Hawkins unable to score on the double.
J.D. Brock, playing in his 10th game, came on after Bryce Teodosio took that fastball to the helmet in the 5th inning. 1 for 8 in the season with a couple of walks. Big opportunity here for Brock. And for that matter, for the pitcher Sweat, he'll get a visit from his catcher and his pitching coach as Burgess and Skylar Meade converge on the mound. Gamecocks have activity in the pen. John Gilreath, the left-hander who was up earlier. And you've got the lefty waiting to bat, so perhaps this is a visit to the mound designed to buy some time for Gilreath. The fact that he warmed up earlier, you think this wouldn't take too long for him to get loose.
Plus, he's got a few pitches out on the mound, and the home plate umpire quickly out there. Jeff Head said, let's go.
Gamecock team trying for a 29th win on the year. They get ready to return to SEC play this weekend. They go up to Lexington to face Kentucky. Next week, they close out the regular season at home against Appalachian State on the 18th, and then final regular season series against the Tennessee Volunteers the 20th through the 22nd. They're trying to build themselves a good position for the upcoming NCAA tourney, but at the same time trying to sweep the in-state rival for the first time since 2014. Brock takes strike 1 off speed at 84 miles an hour.
Sweat with a good get-me-over slider.
Brock from just outside of Charlotte in Davidson, North Carolina. Burgess hangs on, strike 2.
Brock had a good swing on that one. Maybe trying to do a little too much with it. If you look out there, just a little base hit, you got 2 runs.
Sweat, the junior, and Brock. Freshman in his 2nd season with the Tigers, but again, what you call a COVID freshman. Burgess wants to go out and talk to Sweat, and probably telling him it's 0-2. Just put the guy away with the situation right now and keep this a 2-run game. Oh-2. Little squibber, Mendham at third.
That's trouble.
Got to be a tough play all the way around. Puts it in his pocket. Run scores. 4-1 game. And it turns out to be a big at bat for Brock. Comes through with his 2nd RBI of the season. Nothing you could do about it if you're the third baseman Malone. And probably the smartest thing. Fast man running, there was nothing to do. There's no way he was going to be able to cut down Hawkins at the plate.
Yeah, if he makes a throw across the diamond, then Wagner's going to come to third base, and it's just what when you put the ball in play, things happen. And you've seen the Tigers play a little small ball here today.
Runners at first and second now as Wagner couldn't advance on the grounder over to Malone at third. 2nd hit of the season for Brock, coming in a big situation. Tigers have opened up a 3-run lead. Hall was bunting simply to move the runners up with no one out in the 5th. Ball was thrown away, 2 runs scored. He ended up on second base and later came around and scored on the RBI single by Parker. He's also walked and flied out to center. 0-2 pitch, no less, for Brock.
Yep. He shortened up and again put the ball in play, and you just never know. And, as a pitcher, if you walk people, you can't defend that. And if you strike out, you can't score runs. You got to put it in play.
Hall with a big cut, 1-2 the count. And with the lefty in the bullpen, you figure this is the last man that Sweat will be able to face, because they would certainly want to go with the left-hander against Kier Meredith.
And then you have Grice. After Parker, you've got Grice as well. So 2 of the next 3 hitters left-handed.
1-2. Count evens 2-2. Nothing else. Malone, the South Carolina third baseman, can be happy in the fact that he kept Wagner at second, albeit he's going to be off on contact with 2 away, but didn't do anything crazy because he throws across, then Wagner probably tries to take third, and they probably weren't going to be able to get the runner at first to close out the inning. And Hall works the count full. May 11th has been a good day for Clemson over the years. 1901 beat the Gamecocks in Columbia. 1903 beat Wofford. The head coach for those Clemson baseball teams was someone named John Heisman. Back then, when you multitasked as someone who's on the payroll as a coach, you not only coach football, but you also handled the baseball team. Payoff pitch, runners on the move, skied left side will go out of play. And who knows how different things would be had Heisman chosen a path more directed toward baseball coaching than football coaching. And the fact that Clemson was one of his, 8 stops in his football head coaching career. And it's not like they were all tucked into a certain region. We're talking early 1900s. It's not like travel was easy. He was all over the place, out in Texas, up in the Northeast, here in the Southeast. Runners again will be on the move with the pitch. Called, strike 3. Big strikeout for Sweat. Works out of the inning with limited damage. Tigers do get a run, as Hawkins able to come home on the infield base hit by Brock. 4-1 Tigers head to the 7th. We showed you some math earlier with the percentages to make the NCAA tourney. How about a little bit more from history? And May 12th, 1899, tomorrow will mark another anniversary of the first ever rivalry on the Diamond Showdown in the Palmetto State. Clemson and USC. 1899, Tigers won 21-8 in 8 innings. They played the game in Charleston. So they were doing the neutral site thing even back then, with, in recent seasons, of course, using Greenville, and for that matter, Charleston for this series. And in 2020, the neutral site was actually at the ballpark, the minor league ballpark in Columbia. 3-4-5 due up for the Gamecocks here in their half of the 7th. They want to get things going. They struck first with the Wes Clark home run in the 5th inning. Colin Burgess taking ball 1 from Davis Sharp. Burgess reached on a hit by pitch his first time up in the first, has since struck out and flied out to center. Bryce Teodosio has re-entered the game, so good news that the Tigers center fielder out of Malden is okay after being hit by the pitch. And while he was gone, J.D. Brock had an infield hit and an RBI to build this lead out to 4-1, but Teodosio allowed to re-enter under the circumstances. Count goes 2-2 on Burgess. And for a guy who has had all kinds of injuries in his career in each of his seasons at Clemson going back to his first year in 2018, he's had significant interruption due to injury. Lost what was left of the 2020 season when he got injured on the warning track on a outfield play down in Columbia. Swing and a miss. Out number 1 in the 7th inning. Second strikeout of the game by Burgess.
Good slider again. Davis Sharp looks very comfortable.
He looks just that.
Yeah.
Living up to his last name.
Looks sharp.
3 of the 4 batters he's retired have been on strikeouts since he came on to start the 6th inning. Wes Clark, 19th home run of the season, as best we can tell, moved him into second place by himself in the NCAA in that category. And he was tied for the SEC lead when the game began. Clark in the game. 1 for 2, caught looking in the first, walked and was left stranded in the third. Gamecocks will look back on the fact that they've stranded 9 runners in this game. Clark left field. Meredith started back on it. And that's out number 2.
I think that Clark would like to have that pitch back. It was a slider pretty much over the middle of the plate, and he just missed it.
Sharp working in just his 6th game this year, and he's had a handful of appearances since he returned from injury.
You know, if they can get him healthy, fully healthy, he's going to have, you know, his arm's going to be fresh. Won't be an issue of fatigue.
By the way, if you're wondering why Teodosio is allowed to re-enter the game under the concussion protocol, you're not only evaluated, they make sure you're okay, you don't think you're in Tupelo and that kind of thing, but there is a little-known codicil in that rule that says you are allowed to re-enter if you're taken out of the game to be evaluated. Easy enough for Meredith. Off the bat of Mendham. 3 up, 3 down for the Gamecocks for the first time tonight. 7th inning stretch, 4-1 Tigers. John Gilreath, the senior lefty out of Rock Hill, played at Northwestern High just like the guy he replaces, Wesley Sweat. 4th pitcher of the night for the South Carolina team. Lefty making his 12th appearance. You see his numbers so far. Unlike the guys who were all pushing the 6'3", 6'4" range who preceded him, he stands a mere 5'11", 179. But Mark Kingston certainly hoping he can effectively get his team back in the dugout and they can make some noise. South Carolina has the kind of lineup, though, that a 3-run deficit late in the game really shouldn't be much of an issue for them often, or at least anything they're daunted by. But Kier Meredith and the Tigers would love to add some insurance. He will lead things off in the 7th. 0 for 3 in the game. Thought he had an infield hit back in the 3rd inning. That was overturned on replay.
Gilreath's in there because 2 of the first 3 hitters are left-handed.
Meredith, a rare game in which he hasn't done some damage with the bat, at least to this point against South Carolina. 8 of 20 in his career, and a 4 for 5 contest in one of the games in 2020 against USC. And he takes strike 1. Gilreath, the first lefty we've seen on the hill tonight for the Gamecock team. Gets ahead of the batter. 1-2. Where he is from is a hotbed for sports in general, but a lot of good baseball players have come out of Rock Hill. And Meredith, was he plunked or did he lean in? Based on his reaction, I don't know if he's going to be allowed to go down to first base.
Yeah, he didn't make much of an effort. Now, if it's in the batter's box, it doesn't matter. I mean, but if he leaned in over the plate,
and it'll go as a strikeout. I saw that in a game a couple of weekends ago. Hadn't seen it all season or in a while. They are going to look at it, but for now they say that Kier Meredith leaned in. Umpires will continue to discuss. That's the second time I've seen that in 2 weeks and hadn't seen it all year in which...
Ooh, that was well
players,
off.
Yeah.
That should have been called a ball at least. Yeah, that was, I mean, you can see of course the catcher was setting up away, and that should be a ball at least, but they are going to take a look at it.
So for a second time tonight, we get a video review, and each time Kier Meredith has been the topic of discussion.
You can see the Gilreath pitch that starts in the left-handed batter's box and is breaking towards the plate. I can't say that Meredith is making much of an effort to get out of the way, that's for sure, but he doesn't have to. If the ball is in the batter's box, or if it's out of the strike zone, it should just be called a ball.
Gilreath appeared Friday night in their loss against Mississippi State, came on late, pitched an inning, allowed a hit and a run, walked 2 and had 2 strikeouts. The video review continues. He had hit 1 batter so far this season. His previous 16 appearances. Boy, it's going to be, I think, tough to overturn, because the call turns out to be that he leaned in, and I don't know if they would be able to overturn it based on that video, and we will get the official indication as Jeff Head and his umpiring crew determine that indeed the call will stand. So it'll go as a strikeout.
Not a popular decision with the partisan Clemson crowd.
We've got pitchers with their 5th strikeout of the night, and the first batter that Gilbert faces is a strikeout victim. James Parker with one of the 4 Clemson hits. It was a big one, part of a 3-run 5th inning. It was the first hit of the game at that point, delivered Hall. Parker has been on base each time up. He walked in his first 2 appearances. Tigers sophomore out of TL Hanna and Anderson. Now 8 for 23 in his career, and this season has 6 hits. 6 for 10 against South Carolina pitching.
And you're right, it was a big hit that he had to drive in a run with 2 outs. 2-out RBIs, just really important.
And did that catch him on the foot? I do believe so. You'll hear the Bronx cheer from the crowd as he will head down to first. Another hit by pitch in this game for South Carolina pitching. By my count, that is the 3rd of the contest. And the Tigers have a 1-out base runner.
We got him on the right big toe. That had to hurt.
Caden Grice closed out that 3-run 5th with a hard shot that Malone did a nice job handling a 3rd and turned into a 5-6-3 double play. The first double play that Grice has hit into in his Clemson career. They again have the shift set up for him. He went the opposite way, but just hit it on a bullet right to the only fielder on the left side of the infield.
Yeah, and Malone really made a fine defensive play, and it was almost self-defense because that ball was really hit hard.
Robinson, the shortstop, near the bag at second. Big hole really on the right side, right of the second base bag. And Gilreath heading the count 0-2. Grice the DH, and it wouldn't be surprising if we see him come on and pitch in this game tonight. Monty Lee noting that certainly an option he would consider. In some of the midweek games, we've seen Grice appear in relief after he was starting very early on in the season. Off speed, swing and a miss, and he'll go down for out number 2.
Kind of hard to take Sharp out right now unless he's really on a strict pitch count. He's just looked really, really good. Good slider by Gilreath, and Grice way out front.
Adam Hackenberg 0 for 3, flied out to center his last time up. He's also flied out to right and grounded out to the shortstop. 1-5-1 across the top, 4-4-0 across the bottom. Gamecocks have out hit the Tigers, but Clemson with a man on and 2 men out here in the home 7th, looking to add on late to this 4-1 lead.
South Carolina with the pivotal error, the big error on the bunt.
Yeah, once again, Skylar Meade, the pitching coach, will pay a visit. Gamecocks continue to have activity in their bullpen, and kind of surprised to see a guy who's been a weekend starter for him, Thomas. So we thought it was 34. It's actually 44. Parker Coyne. For a moment, I thought it was 34 far. Then I actually saw the full number. Coyne, a right-hander, getting loose. 6'2", 210, the senior. And he will be called upon to relieve Gilreath here. Gamecocks will use a 5th pitcher on the night. will set the numbers for the new hurler for South Carolina here in the 7th inning. Fifth pitcher in the game for South Carolina, Parker Coyne. Sewanee, Georgia's his hometown, went to North Gwinnett High. Senior and trying to close things out here in the home 7th. 2 men out, he'll inherit the runner on first.
It is 6th appearance. 5.2 innings pitched, 6.35 ERA. He's got 8 strikeouts and 6 walks. So they're hitting .263 against him. When you have 8 strikeouts and 6 walks, that's why you only have 5.2 innings pitched so far in the season. Just have to throw strikes. I'm sorry, Pete. Yeah. Excuse me.
South Carolina, just 3 pitchers used Sunday in their walk-off win against Mississippi State. In the first 2 games of that series, they lost to the Bulldogs. They used a bunch of guys. This was yet another pitcher out of their pen who saw some action. That was in the Saturday loss. He pitched an inning, allowing 2 hits, a run, an earned run, 3 walks. And the woman you see kind of, I guess, sitting on one of the steps at the end of the row is one Valerie Cagle, the standout pitcher and hitter. Candidate for National Player of the Year. Earlier today, second-year Tigers softball performer was named both the ACC Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year. Congrats to her. John Rittman, the head coach, earning a Coach of the Year, now with the distinction of having won such an honor, and he'll be the first to tell you it's a coaching staff honor. But they won it in the Pac-12 at Stanford. Now he's won one here.
Kyle Jamison, they're coaching, Courtney Briot. But they leave for Louisville tomorrow.
Yeah, and
for Thursday. The ACC tournament, they'll be the #1 seed. Very impressive.
We'll face Adam Hackenberg. Several other Tigers softball players made all ACC teams. So Hackenberg, the first batter that Coyne will face. Hackenberg did not play in the first 2 games of the series. Now 3 of 16 in his career against South Carolina.
See, on the count. That's a pitch that, and you saw the big swing from Hackenberg, and that's one where it's down and away. Sit back a little bit and take that ball to right center field. Huge hole out there in right center field. Get that pitch in a little bit. Or if it's 2-0, then you go ahead and take the big swing.
Hackenberg, 7 of his last 23. When he returned to the lineup, they immediately returned to action off the injured list. They immediately put him in the starting lineup as Jonathan French had been handling pretty much exclusively the catching role. And over some recent games, he and French have alternated being in there a little bit.
Well, that's a lot for a freshman to handle behind the plate. French came in, did a nice job, but I'm telling you that you don't see a lot of really, really successful baseball teams that have freshman catchers.
And the benefit of having Hackenberg as your starter, French gives you some righty pop off the bench. So when they go to a lefty, you can counter with some power. That gets away from Burgess, but staying put over at first is Parker. Tigers trying to put the brakes on South Carolina, getting a sweep in the regular season series. Clemson won 2 of 3 last year in 2019. That's what the Gamecocks did. Tigers going for a 182nd win all-time against their rival. Gamecocks trying to make it a 144th victory against Clemson. Coyne's 3-1. Right field or right side, and what a nice job by Clark. Don't know if he realized there were 2 men out in the inning. I thought for sure that was heading down the line, but another nice defensive play at first by Wes Clark to end things for the Tigers in the 7th. A noisy final out by Hackenberg. We've seen the home run ball off the bat of Clark, and he's flashed some leather as well. Gamecocks, though, trail 4-1 after 7. Mark Kingston's Gamecocks were picked 4th in the SEC East. That's where they currently sit. A chance to do some damage over the final 2 weekends of the regular season against divisional opponents. At Kentucky, Friday through Sunday of this week. And then outside of the conference against the Mountaineers in Columbia coming up next week, next Tuesday. And then the Tennessee series to close it out and off to the SEC tourney. By the time they wrap things up against Appalachian State, or not long after that, they hope to learn that they are a host for a regional site in the NCAA tourney. Got some work to do here. Gamecocks this season 3-15 when trailing after 7. Tigers a perfect 19-0. Nice job by Hall. Makes the throw while still seated. Gets Seitler by a few steps for out number 1 here in the 8th.
Well, we talked about Hall's athleticism. That ball was hit hard, and great reaction by Hall going to his left. Able to glove it. Almost a dive, not quite. Gather himself and makes a good throw there.
Heinrich had a 3-hit game against the Tigers earlier this season, but 0 for 3 tonight. Couple of strikeouts and a ground out to short as he gets the start at second base.
Now you can see Monty Lee and Andrew C. are stretching out. Sharp a little bit here.
Swung on, driven high and deep to left. Meredith back. He will watch it sail out of here. Well, back in stride against Clemson pitching is Heinrich. Blast into the left field stands. That's home run number 1 on the year. Give him 10 batted in. Just like that, it's a 4-2 game.
Again, a fastball inner third, 90 miles an hour. Heinrich able to get his bat head, or his hands inside the ball. Watch his swing, he gets his bat head inside the ball. And he was able to keep it fair as well, but his hands were inside, a good path.
Sharp on the season allows his third, or rather 4th home run.
That's pitch number 33 for Sharp. As I was saying before the home run, it might be as many pitches as he has thrown in a long time, but he's looked really good.
Actually, I beg your pardon, his 2nd home run allowed by Sharp, but it makes it a 4-2 game here in the 8th. Malone. Been an adventure for him over at third base. And a stellar play to start a twin killing. Had one get past him to allow 2 Clemson runs in the 5th. Left center field going to get down. Meredith over to cut it off. Trying to hold Malone to 1. He'll try for 2. The slide, he's in safely. Good hustle play by Brennan Malone. A 1-out double, so now man in scoring position. Potential tying run comes to the plate in the 8th.
Another fastball. You've seen Sharp stay. You've seen Sharp stay with that breaking ball for the most part. Here Malone making a good turn and easily into second base with a double, but that fastball is what's been getting hit. They haven't really touched the slider.
9th double this season by Malone. Robinson, couple of singles before he struck out in the 6th, visited the mound. Let's see if this is a conversation or if Tigers will look to the bullpen, and they will. They're going to bring on a righty to face Robinson. Davis Sharp will exit. And we've got a pitching change. We'll set that for you when we come back. 8th inning, Tigers up 4-2. 15th appearance on the season for Tigers righty Nick Hoffman. Tried to strand a runner at second base with 1 out. Redshirt freshman from Centerville, Ohio. Played at Centerville High. And for the Tigers, Hoffman, the 5th pitcher on the night. Davis Sharp's night is done after 2 1/3. That was the 2nd longest Tiger was on the hill tonight. Carter Rathfield was the starter, and Rathfield going 3 innings. Did not allow a run. Will not factor in the decision. Rare start tonight at shortstop. Michael Robinson, 2 for 3 on the night. Couple of singles. Making him 4 for 18 on the season. Big opportunity here to pick up a 2nd RBI in 2021.
Well, Hoffman a strike thrower. I mean, 34 strikeouts, only 2 walks on the year in 41 innings. Am I reading that correctly?
He has been very effective
wow.
with the control. Swing and a miss. Another strikeout by Tigers pitching, second straight time that Robinson goes down on strikes.
There's the high fastball out of the strike zone. Robinson unable to lay off of it. There's only 2 walks in 52 innings pitched. Wow. Oh, that's career. I'm sorry. That's even more impressive. You love guys who can come out of the bullpen and throw strikes, Pete.
12 strikeouts by the Tigers staff so far tonight. Hoffman making his first career appearance against South Carolina. Pitched on Saturday, inning in 2/3, and allowed 3 hits and a run while striking out 4 down in Atlanta against Georgia Tech. Brady Allen, leadoff hitter for the Gamecocks, reached on a walk his last time up. 1 of 2 free passes for him in the game. He's also struck out and grounded out to second. Trying to get the train going back in the right direction. Came in as a South Carolina leader with a .282 batting average, but it's 2 of his last 28 at the start of the night. And he takes strike 1. Well, you know that Hoffman's going to be around the plate.
Right.
You figure a guy like Allen's probably going to try to get his cuts in.
Gives you an opportunity to drive some runs in. You want to be aggressive early in the count.
Stays outside. Allen looking for his 12th hit of his career against Clemson. And trying for his 5th this season. Hoffman's 1-1. 2-1. Malone followed the Heinrich homer with a hustling double to put himself in scoring position with 1 away. Now he stands there with 2 out. Way up there, Parker, the shortstop, calls for it. Makes it look a little adventurous at the end, but it's out number 3. Gamecocks get a run on the Heinrich homer. Bottom of the 8th upcoming, 4-2 Tigers. Gamecocks trying for the season sweep, but Clemson a 4-2 lead as we head to the bottom half of inning number 8. A nice May night, a little bit chilly with some rain coming in later on here in Clemson, South Carolina. With Ron Smith, Pete Ganady back with you. We know it's a rivalry battle, but we also knew coming in it was going to be a battle of the bullpens. So kind of give me your assessment on that so far.
Well, both starters had not had a lot of experience in starting and had pitched all that much. So you wouldn't expect them to have pitched much during the game. They both were fairly effective. Clemson's bullpen has been good all year, and so has South Carolina's, and they've really lived up to that reputation tonight.
Yeah, Lloyd came on earlier for South Carolina, got out of a jam, and then Hoffman, I thought, a very important final out in the 8th inning with a man in scoring position, plus the heart of the Gamecock order due up. We'll now see them coming up in the 9th inning. For the Tigers, Dylan Brewer, the 6th place hitter in the Clemson lineup, will start things out in the home 8th. Second inning of work for Parker Coyne. Brewer high and deep to right, way back. Watch it sail out of here off the roof of the hitting cages, and Dylan Brewer, a Palmetto State native, goes deep in a rivalry game, his 9th of the season.
Wow, he dropped the head on that pitch, down and in. Against lefties, they say that's not a good place to pitch, but that ball was down and in, and Dylan just dropped that bat head in there. And
second career home run in the Palmetto rivalry for the Tiger out of Latta over in Dillon County.
That's actually a little bit away, and he knew that was gone immediately, and you could tell by the sound. When that bat connects with the ball in the sweet spot, there's a different sound to it, and it certainly had that. Big run, for Clemson, getting that run back helps.
Second home run allowed by Coyne in 6+ innings of work this year. And the lead is, again, 3 runs for the Tiger team. So a home run on the Clemson side, 2 for both South Carolina runs from Clark and Henrik. Briar Hawkins, 1-1 pitch coming to him.
Boy, I like this Burgess behind the plate.
Yeah, he really you can tell. I often ask coaches about their catchers because they're such a vital part, and so many catchers go on to become head coaches or managers. And you really know when a head coach goes out of his way to talk about the leadership he gets in addition to the good play.
I like the way he receives the ball.
And the bat has been the added feature. He's their leading hitter in SEC play at 301. Hawkins singling his last time up. Then he came home on the infield RBI hit by Brock, who you might say Brock made a cameo appearance in this game for a couple of innings while Teodosio was out with injury. Brock didn't get any chances in center field, but he did have an important piece of work on the base pass. Remember, he came home on the throwing error on the Hall bunt to score the second run right behind Wagner, and then drove in the run that he did at the time was the fourth run of the game. Hawkins reaching. Tigers man on, still with no one out here in the eighth. And Wagner 1 for 2 on the night. He's also walked and scored. Double by Wagner is 5th of the season. Highly regarded out of the state of Wisconsin, which of course doesn't produce an abundance of high-level baseball talent, but he certainly proved himself worthy. Tyler Meade has been busy tonight, pitching coach for Mark Kingston in South Carolina.
This is a delay. Let's take a little time, get somebody going.
Coyne came on with 2 outs and a runner on first in the 7th. Remember, retired the only batter he faced in that inning, Hackenberg, but that was a laser that it looked like it was destined for the right field line, and Clark reached up and pulled it down at first for the final out. And since, Brewer absolutely tagged one out of the park, and then the walk, and now here's Wagner ahead in the count 1-0. So that was certainly a settled down visit. Did he chase? No, says the first base umpire Kevin Sweeney. And it's 2-0 and the Tigers' third baseman.
Pretty close, but that's, again, I think that's just such a difficult call for a first base umpire.
Three 3-0.
And away with breaking balls, and then in hard with a fastball off the plate.
Take strike one. Five Tigers have walked. 3 have reached via hit by pitch tonight. And that's high and tight. Half a dozen walks in the game now. Wagner trots down to first. Second time he's reached on a free pass. Still no one out in the 8th inning. Tigers first and second. And returning to the plate, Bryce Teodosio. He'll get a nice hand.
I wonder if he might be a little gun shy.
Remember, he was hit in the helmet in his previous plate appearance back in the 5th inning, showing bunt.
Right.
At the time, the Tigers had a man on first, Wagner, and Teodosio was trying to get the sacrifice.
He might be doing the same thing here. Very well could be.
Noted 3 Tigers hit by pitch. Teodosio has been plunked twice tonight. Another pitching change for South Carolina. Jarrett Bennett was getting loose in the bullpen. They're going to bring on the lefty to face the right-handed hitting Bryce Teodosio. Take a break. Let you know about Bennett when we return to Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Jarrett Bennett, new South Carolina pitcher, just his second appearance, transferred from Charleston Southern. So a difficult situation to come in 5-2 game. You're trying to give your team a reasonable chance in the 9th, trying to get a rivalry win. And again, this game at this point in the season, with the added importance, it would get them to 29 wins. I mean, their RPI is not going to be impacted all that much, nor their strength of schedule. Bennett, we told you, second appearance, his first came Saturday in an inning of work in relief in the loss against Mississippi State.
And again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Teodosio bunting again. You've got a lefty that's going to throw a lot of change-ups.
You know, it's interesting, Ron. Teodosio about to stand back in. The very unique bats right, throws left.
Right.
And the center fielder for South Carolina is the same way. Brady Allen bats right, throws left. And the only other person I can think of in the ballpark who does that is the Tigers head coach Monty Lee. That's what he was as a player. That's what happened last time Bryce Teodosio was at bat in the 5th inning. It looked like it caught the flap and then hopefully was just a glancing blow.
Yeah.
He exited, but under the concussion protocol rules, you can re-enter if you're cleared. When he exited, J.D. Brock came in. Pinch ran, eventually scored on the errant throw by Lloyd to third. And then the next time up with an infield hit and men on first and third, the chopper to Malone. Malone had to put it in his back pocket as Brock making the most of his time in this game. Teodosio, we told you in his 2 previous plate appearances, hit by a pitch. First time was in the 3rd when he was stranded at 3rd and held up on a chopper that Clark made a nice play to stop at first. And at the time, the game remained scoreless, taking strike 1, and again looking to move up the runners with nobody out here in the 8th.
Well, you've got the lefty coming in there, and you got to figure that Teodosio's gonna bunt, and so but you're setting yourself up for Meredith and then certainly Grice with the left-hander.
Showed bunt. Takes ball 1 as he got back into his hitting position. Told you about the injury suffered last year against South Carolina. Tonight's episode. Just 3 hits in 28 at-bats against the Gamecocks, but one of them a home run. He was 1 for 4 in game 1 this season. 1-2 now, as Bennett gets ahead of the Tigers center fielder. Sixth pitcher used tonight by South Carolina. And interestingly, based on the rule, which would probably take a librarian to help you through it, it's pretty intricate. We looked at it between innings as Teodosio takes ball 2. Brock, who came in, did his good work in the roughly inning plus that he played. He is still available, we are told, to also re-enter the game because he was the guy, but it would only be in this position, and so it would have to be in place of Teodosio. And swing and a miss for out number 1, and what's, could still be a 3-run game. If Teodosio is able, you're going to want his glove out in center field.
No question. Probably the only rule that's more convoluted than the rule you just mentioned is the DH.
Or just tell the umpire if you bring a pitcher in, you want him to still be the DH. Yeah, they always talk about National League managers for as long as they keep the pitcher with the double switch kind of being confusing. But the whole use a DH, put him back, and or another guy who you move in defensively goes in the batting order, that can make your head spin a little bit. Top of the order, Sam Hall is reached by way of a walk and what was a sacrifice and an E1 that put him at second and allowed him to score in the 3-run 5th inning. Last time he was up, he was caught looking on strikes. Hall, his 17th game back, his 16th start. And ahead in the count 2-0. Bennett the lefty.
Yeah, Bennett a lefty that doesn't throw really hard. He's got a good changeup, and that's the great neutralizer.
Skied on the right side. Clark gives it a look, but it'll go out of play. They only list the brief work that Bennett has done for them, but as we told you, he transferred in from the College of Charleston. He is a grad transfer, I'm sorry, from Charleston Southern, and so chances are he saw plenty of action for the Big South school. 2-1 pitch. Oh, a nice one at the bottom of the zone, 2-2.
Beautifully located. Boy, right at the bottom of the strike zone on the outside corner.
Swing and a miss. Burgess hangs on. Well, both outs recorded by way of the strikeout by Bennett.
Again, the changeup, saw that one. He had that in the palm of his hand and had the good arm speed, and the ball came out about 10 mile an hour slower than his fastball.
Kier Meredith 0 for 4, and twice they have gone to replay. One to overturn an infield, a would-be infield hit, and then last time he was called out on strikes when he thought he'd been hit by the pitch, but ruling by the home plate umpire Jeff Head was that he leaned in. It was a 1-2 count. One is a strikeout. One of 8 strikeouts recorded by USC pitching. Meredith's gone down both looking and then on that crazy call the last time. Runners in scoring position tonight. And again, the Gamecocks have left a bunch on, including
They left
8 runners left on over the first 4 innings.
That's
they had
right.
a chance to blow this
That's
game
right.
open early, and that'll come back to haunt when all is said and done. You guys have left nearly a dozen on base. Meredith in an 0-2 hole. Watch out over in that South Carolina dugout.
Well, when you do that, you leave that many runners on base and you strike out 13 times.
Big moment in the game came on that little flare that Hawkins was able to snag. And that was a huge play off the bat of Eister, who'd been the hero on the walk-off wins earlier this year, back in the second inning with the bases loaded. Had Eister just gotten a little bit more on it to get it over the head of Hawkins, South Carolina may have had a very big second inning.
Yeah, well, he got tied up. He really got tied up on that pitch. And
11 left on base for South Carolina. Tigers have stranded 7. Two on, 2 out, 0-2 coming to Meredith from the lefty. Ripped and past Clark into right field. It'll score 1. Meredith will hold at first. Tigers take a 6-2 lead as Briar Hawkins comes across. Second run in the inning, and it's a 4-run advantage.
And Meredith continues his hot hitting with runners in scoring position.
Meredith, a 360 hitter with men in scoring position. Take a look at that stroke.
That was a breaking pitch that did not get away from Kier Meredith enough. Bennett intending for that to be way out, and it really came over the middle of the plate and well placed and hard hit ground ball.
25 now batted in for Meredith. Keep in mind he missed a pretty good chunk of the early stretch of the season. Didn't play in the first 2 games against South Carolina. So Bennett came on in relief, got a couple of strikeouts. We told you, new to the South Carolina program after transferring from Charleston Southern. Had appeared in 14 games at the College of Charleston, was 3-5. That was back in the last full season in 2019. Of course, he, like everyone else, had an abbreviated campaign. Had an ERA just over 5. And in 2019, 71 in the third innings pitched. Parker swings through the 1-1 fastball. So again, Bennett ahead of a batter, 1-2. Struck out 44, so he's not necessarily a strikeout pitcher, despite the fact he struck out a couple of Tigers in this inning.
Clemson with some big 2-out hits. Excuse me, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. Meredith goes, sailed into center, goes the throw by Burgess. Run will come home from third. It's a 7-2 game as Wagner was waiting to see what happened with that throw, thinking maybe the shortstop might cut in front and try to gun him down to the plate. So the Tigers forcing the action there. It's a 3rd run in the inning and a 5-run advantage.
Second error charge to the Gamecocks.
And Meredith picks up stolen base number 6 in 10 tries this year. Had he realized the throw was so high, he probably would not have dived into the base and probably would have been over to third. 2-2 coming to Parker. Now Meredith on his way to third, but doesn't matter. Swing and a miss. Down on strikes goes Parker, but the Tigers get 3 in the 8th inning. It began with Dylan Brewer running into one. The right fielder hitting it out of the park to right, his 9th home run of the season. Tigers trying to avoid the sweep. They lead by 5 as we head to the 9th inning. Monty Lee and the Tigers 3 outs away from snapping their 3-game losing streak and avoiding a sweep in the series. Final non-conference regular season game for the Tiger team. Off to Tallahassee against number 17 Florida State this weekend, and then a couple of weekends. Regular season will close out against Duke. Nick Hoffman on for his 2nd inning of relief, and trying to get this game put away for the Tiger team.
Facing the heart of this order.
Andrew Eister, hero in the first 2 South Carolina wins back in February. Reached on a hit by pitch his first time up. Hit that little flare to Hawkins at first with the bases loaded in the 2nd as the final out, and then has since struck out and grounded into a fielder's choice. Eister came in 8 of his last 29. And 5 hits against the Tigers this year. Takes ball 2. He's looking to get on base. They need base runners right now down by 5.
Exactly.
You're not going to get a free pass out of Hoffman, most likely. Probably the best control pitcher easily on this Clemson staff, as the numbers show.
And being down 5, it's almost better to have a base hit than a home run. I mean, if you hit the home run, you're still down 4, and the pitcher's still working comfortably on the mound without having to go to the stretch. He had a good swing on that one.
Really good cut by Eister. Gamecock team built with a lot of guys who came in from junior colleges. Eister is one of them, Santa Fe Community College. One of the guys that his head coach Mark Kingston says they kind of go out. He goes, and Clark and Allen. Brewer near the line and right. Out number 1. So we showed you what remains for the Tigers ahead. A couple of ACC series. As for the whole postseason thing, and Monty Lee refused to even go down that road when I asked him about it earlier today, but you see where they are RPI-wise. A win tonight would certainly enhance that against all that South Carolina's achieved this year, and plus if they can do some damage down in Tallahassee, that'll help. But again, that ACC, the conference record, based on the stats, has really proved to be a big metric in terms of making the NCAA tourney. Wagner showing you how well he plays defense, but the throw a little bit too low for Hawkins. Let's see how they scored for Burgess.
Yeah, it's going to be should be an error on the third baseman.
And we mentioned the metrics, and again, let's revisit the percentage chart. So you figure with 6 games left, if you win 5 of the 6, you're going to get to that promised land of 4 over 500. And I say this with math not being necessarily a quick resource for me, but you just get a few games over 500, in this conference. Now, the SEC has been a much stronger conference, so you would think that maybe a couple of SEC teams on the border of a 500 record in league play will get some at-large spots this year. But see with the Tigers with 6 regular season games left against the league, some of the numbers that could work in their favor. Man on with 1 away. They did
give him a base hit.
Give him a base
I didn't
hit.
know they got him an error.
Well, yeah, and I see that it moved as an error, so
yeah, it was a ball that
Clark, who homered earlier, infield pop. Who's going to call for it? Parker will, and put it away for out number 2.
I think that was a play that Clark felt like he should make at first base. Or excuse me, Hawkins should have made it first base. Wagner made a nice play to come in there, and pretty good throw is on a short hop. But I think Hawkins, in retrospect says, gosh, I got to make that play. And I agree.
Let's hope for the Gamecocks. The DH, David Mendham, who's got a couple of hits on the night. 2 for 4. Singled and left stranded in the 3rd. And singled again and was left at second base in the 5th. That'll be a number they look at the end of tonight. Runners left on base and in scoring position for that matter. Over the first 4 innings especially. Mendham wanted 2 of the Gamecocks who play quite a bit for this team from Ontario in Canada, but ended up playing junior college baseball in the States and the Midwest. And Mark Kingston and his staff, a lot of connections up that way, going back to his days, particularly as a head coach at Illinois State.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you recruited Illinois State out of Canada. You say, come on south and play.
Liner over the reach of Parker, who was playing right of the bag. So a 3-hit night for Mendham. Remember, he was their hero in the ball game Sunday when they beat Mississippi State. Gamecocks still have hope with their 8th hit of the night.
Pitch that's down over the inner 3rd. And Mendham does a great job of getting his bat on the plane of the baseball and keeping it there for a long time. Good solid line drive hitter.
Seitler was retired on a nice play by Sam Hall at second his last time up. Part of an 0 for 4 night for the left fielder. First pitch swinging, skied to left. Meredith calls for it. He'll put it away, and that'll do it. The Palmetto rivalry comes to an end here in 2021. Gamecocks will win the series, but the Tigers avoid the sweep with a 7-2 victory. And of course, something that shouldn't be overlooked at the end of this series, and after we're off the air here, they're going to honor the best player on each team in the series with the Bob Bradley and Tom Price Awards, named for 2 great gentlemen who have since left us, but played such a role in athletics at both school. And you win that honor, and you really cherish it as a player since they introduced it several years ago. But for the Tiger team, they bounced back after getting swept over the weekend in Atlanta. They improved to 23-21. Gamecocks, they will fall to 28-18. They return to SEC play this weekend. Turned out to be a really interesting game. Saw a lot of pitchers as we expected, and some interesting things as well on the base paths.
Well, when you leave a bunch of guys on base like South Carolina did and strike out as much as they did, it's tough to win. Clemson with a big bunt and the error that led to 2 run scoring and vaulted the Clemson Tigers into the lead, and then they just built on it gradually. Clemson bullpen did a great job once again.
Yes, they did. Give the win to Labriola. He didn't pitch very long in this game, but he factored in the Tigers' victory and the first for him in 2021. Hoffman gets the save. Lloyd takes the loss for USC. Tigers return to ACC play. Gamecocks back in SEC play. Ron, been a pleasure as always. Thanks to our fine crew. Clemson wins it 7-2. For Ron Smith, Pete Kennedy saying so long. This has been a presentation of ESPN.